be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Let's run it. Happy Monday. Foul Territory live. Scott Braun, AJ Pierzynski, Erik Kratz. Guests joining us soon include Russ Dorsey in like a minute, Chas McCormick in about an hour from the Houston Astros, and then from the Mariners side we get Mike Ford, and we're going to get into that series in just a sec. First off, though, you got a game tonight? What's my game? That I legit don't know.
I'm going to watch Mike
tonight.
Ford take on the White Sox. I got Mariners White Sox.
Nice.
I can't believe Kratz is wearing that shirt today after the way they've been playing. I mean, you must be in full Aaron Boone support mode at this point.
What's that about?
Need it. Just they need something. They need something.
It's too late, big fella. It's too late.
Well, I mean, they need some.
Hey, Jake Bowers and Anthony Volpe can't save them anymore.
Well, then maybe me wearing the shirt for one day will help the guys.
You know what is entertaining if you're a Yankees fan? Watching them play Double-A baseball in Somerset. The Yankees Double-A affiliate is where we will be on Thursday, Kratz and myself, to do the show. AJ will be here, and we'll interview some of these Somerset Patriots. Can't wait. And that should include, don't call him up yet, please, Jason Dominguez on Thursday.
I think he's getting called up.
I'm saying not even to AAA, don't call him up yet. Just leave him where he's at.
Yeah, he's not.
He's hitting really well in the last few weeks, though. But yes, I get it.
Overall,
I know overall, but you know, we're going to get into prospect stuff too. So
okay.
I want to get your
No,
take
I mean, he sounds, I mean, listen,
he's
I've heard
he's
about
hitting
him.
the ball.
No, he's
real
hot
well
right now.
Yeah, he's hot. And he's not 17 like Ethan Salas getting moved up a spot by the Padres, hitting 200.
Jackson
Holiday. Lots of prospect talk. Let's charge the damn mound, shall we? And let's bring in Stadium's Russ Dorsey to help us out. So, Russ, what's going on, dude? Your thoughts on the Houston Astros Seattle Mariners series from the weekend and what this says about a Seattle team that clearly was better than many thought they were.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago where we said, hey, the AL West is going to be fun down the stretch. But we were talking about the Astros and the Rangers. That's before the Mariners had gone on this really hot streak. And now you have to look at it and say, hey, the Mariners are in this thing. They're only 3 games back of that top spot in the AL West. And I look at them kind of similarly to how I view the Philadelphia Phillies, right? They're just a second half team. You look at what the Phillies did in the second half last year or after June. They went on a hot stretch, did the same thing again this year. And you look at the Mariners last year, went on a hot stretch in the second half to get to the postseason, and they're doing the same thing this year. You know, a red-hot J-Rod. You guys have guys like Dylan Moore really stepping up for them. They have a ton of young starting pitching, and so they've really made it a race.
Is it going to be enough? When you have your best bolt and you're still 3 games back in the West, is it going to be enough, or are we just only looking at the wild card?
I think it could be enough, and I'll tell you why, Kratzy. This is some of the teams that the Mariners have coming up. They have the White Sox starting tonight. Then you have the Royals.
Hey.
They have the Mets coming up. No, you heard me, AJ. I said it. They have Oakland twice and the Angels. And so with those teams, you're going to have an opportunity to get yourself back in the race the end of August, the first half of September. And then their last week of the season, they have head-to-head series against Texas and against Houston. So if they keep themselves 3 games or less down the stretch, they're going to have an opportunity to at least tie that series, tie the standings in that last week of the season.
Chaos. I love it. I love chaos. I want like 12 teams tied at the end for the second and third wild cards. We have like 18 playoff games where they have to try to figure it all out.
They mostly do tiebreakers, though. I don't think they're doing
you
the
play. I thought you don't play anymore. You have to play at some point.
No, it's tiebreakers.
It's coin flips now. It's Rochambeau.
No, there's a million tiebreakers, right? You go from.
So if you have 4 teams tied for the third wild card, it
I don't
goes
know,
by
all that
tiebreaker. That would be awful.
way
That's an
beyond
awful way to do it. But
my brain.
That would be perfect for Major League Baseball.
Russ, do you know what I'm talking about here? I'm pretty sure that once we got the third wild card in play, it's now coming down to tiebreakers a lot more than it used to, right? We're not just going up. They have the same record, playoff game. It's like, oh wait, how do they do against each other?
It's like head-to-head matchup. Yeah, division head-to-head matchups. What your record is against the American League. Like there's like, I think you're right.
So if there's like
6 or 7 tiebreakers.
So if there's like 3 or 4 teams tied, because I mean, realistically in the AL, there could be more than. I mean, the Blue Jays are only half game behind the Mariners. The Red Sox are 3, so there could be realistically 4 teams, because Astros only half game. There could be 4 teams tied for 2 spots, and they go by tiebreaker. So 2 teams lose because they lost one more time to the A's than someone else.
Don't you have a researcher, stat person?
You do.
Got a game tonight.
Yeah, but
I
he's
do?
not on call right now.
Who's mine?
I don't know.
No,
thought it
I
was
don't
Kratz.
have one.
Call
All
them.
right.
No, you got a guy. Talk to
Not
him
right
tonight.
now, though.
Can you talk to him tonight?
I'll find out tonight.
Okay.
I'll find out this afternoon.
Thank you. We're looking at the AL wild card at the moment with Tampa Bay in a pretty good spot. They'd have to really fall apart.
Tampa's going to be in.
I know.
They're gonna
I'm saying they're in a pretty good spot. Houston 70-55. Seattle is a half game back at 69-55, and they have the same number in the loss column, which is very important to AJ. And then you have Toronto at 69-56, just a half game back of Seattle. And then Boston coming off a really strong weekend against the Yanks, definitely still hanging around.
Everyone wants to play the Yankees right now.
It is a good time
It's a
to play
great
the
time.
Yanks.
But yeah, you guys said that I like the loss column because you can't make those games up.
I know.
So the loss column is always what you look at when you look at the standings. The games behind doesn't matter because you can be tied in the loss column and have 3 or 4 less wins and then win those games. And man, all of a sudden you caught back up and the other team didn't do anything. So it's always about the loss column. My question for you, Russ, is did the Mariners have they shot their shot too early though?
What do you mean?
Because sometimes you can shoot your shot too early. I mean, it's only August 21st, right? So did they shoot it too early? Because a lot of times you want to be kind of peaking when you get to the postseason, not peaking in August, because baseball, no matter who you are, is like this, okay? Up, down. You try to keep the ups and the downs a little bit more even. But right now, they are like a rocket.
Yeah,
right?
but if they weren't a rocket right now, they wouldn't be in the playoff.
I understand that. But if they just had like a slow, like, win every series, sweep the Astros, win every – but they're like, sweep. All of a sudden, boom, rocket ship. Oh, my gosh, we're in the playoffs. And then there has to be an equaling effect where it goes a little bit downhill.
Russ, I'm going to translate since AJ and me
He gets
are
He's
sitting
smart,
so
fella.
close to each other.
He didn't go to Miami.
Show
He's
you a
smart.
little bit. Are the Mariners winning too much, Russ?
No, I think I understand
That's not
what
what I
AJ's
said.
asking. Right? Like, have you crescendoed before you really need to get into that last couple weeks of the season and into the postseason? I don't think so because of the teams that they're playing. Right? You want to be playing great baseball. You want your superstar and Julio Rodriguez to be playing the way he is going into the month of September, which is the most important month. 3 games back, of the Rangers in that division. And like they have KC, even though KC's been playing teams tough. You have Oakland twice. You have the White Sox. You have the Mets. You have a limping Rays team. So they have an opportunity to continue playing this level of baseball at the right time when their schedule happens to line up in their favor before you get to that really tough last week of the season against Houston and against the Rangers.
So who do you think is going to be in first by the time they get to that series? Houston or the Rangers?
I think it's probably going to be the Rangers just because I trust the pitching a little bit more, right? Like I think over the last 2.5 weeks, Framber Valdez hasn't been the Framber Valdez that we've seen, and JP France and Hunter Brown have been going through their individual struggles. Even though you look at the overall numbers, they've been fine. I think when you look at the Rangers and what they did at the deadline, it's really helped them. Scherzer, Jordan Montgomery has pitched really well since he's been there. I just think with what their offense could do, combined with the fact that they have, a rotation now that you can feel confident in going to the last month of the season, I think it's going to be the Rangers that's on top going into that final week.
Okay, Russ. If the Mariners seem to go as Julio Rodriguez goes, because he didn't play he made the All-Star team, I get it, kind of a hometown pick for the All-Star game, because his first half wasn't very good. I mean, it was for him. Now, for a lot of players, he'd be like, damn, I'll take that. But for him, it wasn't like the Julio Rodriguez we expect. Now, I know Shohei Ohtani already has the MVP locked up in the AL, more than likely. But should Julio Rodriguez, if they not only get in the playoffs, win this division, should he get a lot of attention for most valuable player? 17 hits in 4 games, something we've never seen before. And as he's gone up, so have the Mariners. So is he the most valuable player to a playoff contending team?
I think when you look at it, when it comes to the award voting, you have to look at it in totality. I think you look at the last 5 games, he's 18 for 27, 2 homers, 5 stolen bases. He's been red hot. He's been the engine, the straw that stirs the drink, whatever analogy you want to use for what he means to the Mariners. But I think when you look overall, and there's some monster seasons in the American League. Like I think when you look at what Corey Seager has done for the Rangers, as a guy who missed a month, and look where the Rangers are, look what those numbers are going to be at the end of the day. I think that's more of a guy I would lean toward and say, okay, this is a top 5 finisher in MVP voting, as opposed to a J Rod. And like, let's say Julio finishes the season similar in a similar fashion to what he's playing at right now. Maybe that's deserving of a top 10 finish in MVP voting, but I think to get into that top 5, you've had to do this for a sustained period over the 7 months of the season.
Did you happen to catch much of the Rangers and Brewers series? Because the Brewers came off a sweep, and then they came in and played the Rangers. Was it more the Rangers playing meh with, Scherzer throwing 99 pitches in 3+ innings? Or was it the Brewers being like, hey, you know what? We're actually a decent team?
I think it's the latter. I think you look at the Brewers, and a lot of the attention in that division has been about the Cubs and the Reds. Meanwhile, the Brewers are still at the top of that division, and I think the benefit that they have over a team like the Reds, over a team like the Chicago Cubs, who haven't been a playoff team in some years now, is that they are always in this position, right? They know exactly what they need to do to get the postseason. That's why people consider Craig Counsell to be one of the best, if not the best manager in the big leagues, is because no matter what they have on their roster, no matter how they're playing, they're going to be there, when it gets to September. And now you have a healthy rotation going into that season's final month where those guys start to feel a lot more confidence, where you can have Woodruff, you can have Corbin Burns, you can have Freddie Peralta all pitching like we expected them to when the year started. I think it says more about where the Brewers feel that they are right now than what the Rangers did in that series.
I'd like to make 2 points here. Number one, on the Houston side, Russ nailed it. Framber Valdez, second half numbers in 7 starts, 6.18 ERA, 45 hits in 43 2/3 innings. And he said his performance from the weekend was trash. So he's got the no-hitter mixed in there.
And he threw at the dude.
And he threw at who?
Caballero.
Right. After giving up the homer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's pissed. He's in a bad spot right now, which is not like him. He's usually super consistent, innings eater, getting the job done. They need him right. That's their guy.
Him and Verlander
should be your 1 and 2 come playoff time. So he's got some time to figure it out. And then the other point is the Mariners dealt away Paul Sewald, and there's still bitterness there, but they're 15-4 since the trade. And there has been some shakiness from the bullpen. I'll just give you the ultimate teaser because I didn't get to listen yet because it came out right before the show started, but I will on my ride home. It is covered in fair territory today, that Sewald trade, and looking back and giving some reasoning as to why they still felt very confident about what they did. Nothing to do with Paul, but everything to do with the guys that they picked up on the other side. Okay, so I think all the rage right now, Russ, is the speediness of prospects to make it to the big leagues, which generally I'm fine with. I think it's cool. We talk about these guys, good for the sport when they get up to the bigs quickly, especially for draft purposes. So we don't have the draft and then you just disappear for 3-4 years. So I'll mix in some names, right? Dylan Cruz just got promoted to Double-A, and there are some that think that the Nationals might even call him up, in a couple weeks if he smashes Double-A for a couple weeks. You have Noel V. Marte's debut from the weekend. Kyle Harrison's going to debut for the Giants on Tuesday. Nolan Shanwell debuted this weekend. He just got picked 6 weeks ago. So I'm going to give you this line from The Athletic, the newsletter this morning. Going into play Friday, there were exactly 45 days left in the regular season. As long as a player stays beneath 130 ABs, 50 innings pitched, or 45 days on a big league roster, they maintain their rookie eligibility for 2024 when they could help their team earn extra draft picks if they win Rookie of the Year. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of why suddenly, not even September, there are all these call-ups happening. It is always orchestrated for a reason by front offices.
For sure. And I think because of the change in the CBA that you mentioned there at the end, Sky, where, if a guy finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting, you get draft compensation, where you're seeing teams more inclined now to call up a guy, let's even say in spring training, hoping that guy finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting so that team gets draft compensation. But I think specifically, let's start on Dylan Cruz. That's a guy that many people believe was the best player in this year's draft, like even more so than Paul Skeens. And he is in an organization where the Nationals have, if you look at the last couple of years, been very aggressive with guys in their system, right? Like you look at Bryce Harper, guy was playing at Double-A at 18 years old, up at 19. You look at Juan Soto, who was in the big leagues at 19 years old. And so if they believe that he is not overwhelmed, right? I think there's a good possibility that he's their starting center fielder next year. But I think good on the Nationals for saying, you know what, this guy's ready, right? And you're going to do everything you can to throw the kitchen sink at him. Can you handle this adversity? Can you handle, being the youngest player at a level? And if you can, then that guy deserves to play in the big leagues. And, I think sometimes it's the sink or swim aspect. Like if he was struggling, clearly they wouldn't have promoted him as fast as they did. But I think a lot of these teams are looking at it. And I think the COVID years helped some teams say, okay, let's speed up some of this development, right? Like I remember talking to a scouting director during that 2020, draft cycle where it's like, we're going to learn a lot about our own development by how some of these kids develop after this, COVID shortened year, right? Where you don't have everything at your disposal, where you don't have a minor league season, where you really have to develop on your own. And there was a different level of, things that players had to go through to ensure that they continue to develop. And so I think, you're seeing like Nolan Shanaway, right? If the Angels believe that this was the best player we could have gotten in this year's draft and he can play in the big leagues right now, hey, like that's why you're seeing that guy get promoted. So I'm interested to see if we see more of this as the years go by, but there's definitely a feeling where teams feel like because of what's been done in the CBA, where you do get that draft compensation and you think that kid can help you and they've shown that they can handle that adversity, that you let that kid play in the big leagues.
Yeah, now worst case, you send him back and he keeps working on things. So we'll get these guys' takes on the other side of the break. We're going to step aside for a sec. Russ, great to hang with you on a Monday. We'll see you later in the week, all right?
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, man. And let's get our first poll question rolling, too. On your screen, that QR code. Otherwise, watchstadium.com/foul territory. The question is, which playoff favorite has been the biggest disappointment? Cardinals, Mets, Padres, Yankees. Can you imagine beginning of the year if someone had a parlay on all four of those teams not making the playoffs? No fucking chance.
Throwing the Red Sox in there too.
Yeah, but the Red Sox still have a shot. These teams are toast.
I'm saying.
But yes, you're right. So think about that, and we'll swing back on the other side and go over more on this prospect debut stuff. Anything new going on? And
you're saying
the speculation on where they're going to be playing games in 2028, say?
I didn't realize you were contributing to our state tax pool now, Scott. That's going to bump up the state money available right now.
Those income taxes in Florida, baby.
Yeah, I see. Exactly. You hang out with the players. You know how to do that. You know that move.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I think there's been they're right now they are on a path where they're negotiating with St. Pete. There's probably the best path over the 10, 15 years of this story to get something done. It would be built in St. Pete. It would be built adjacent to where the Trop is. It would be part of like a Atlanta-style battery redevelopment of that whole area, including actually bigger, because it would also include like some workspace and things like that, some office buildings, hotels, condominiums, apartments, restaurants, bars, kind of that whole what they call the historic gas plant district. And I think this is the best opportunity. They've got a partnership with Hines, which is a major global developing company. So they've got to work this out with the city of St. Pete. But all that being said, nothing's signed yet. Nothing's in print. They are still willing to engage with Tampa. If anybody in Tampa comes up with an idea, it feels like that's just kind of moving the goalpost a little bit to see if there's a last-minute bid from Tampa somewhere. But I do think there's been enough progress in St. Pete. People seem kind of quietly optimistic that this can come to an agreement. And look, the situation with the Rays is they kind of just say they need a place to play on April 1st, 2028. Their lease at the Trop expires in 27. So there's not a lot of time left to get something built here.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it on Stadium. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz, and happy Monday to everyone. Okay, so let me get your thoughts on all this prospect debut call-up action going on. The good, the bad, what do you think?
I think it's good if they're ready.
Uh-huh.
And I know you said, oh, what's the worst that can happen? You send them down.
Yeah.
But a lot of teams are very hesitant to send guys back down. I think Kratz will back me up on this because once you get them up there, you don't want them to fail. And I know, like, you look at like an Alex Gordon with the Royals, right? They sent him down, but their excuse was, hey, we're going to teach him to be a left fielder instead of a third baseman. And a lot of teams, because they hype these guys so much now, these prospects are hyped so much because, and it's not their fault, but it's because we have the internet now, and because we have Foul Territory, and we have MLB TV, and you can watch any minor league game on my iPad sitting in front of me. I can watch any game, right? And then you have chat rooms, and you have Twitter, and you have Instagram, and you have all that. So it's easy to know these guys, and then every organization overhypes their prospects. I mean, I don't care who you are. Every organization does it. Some are better at it than others. So when they get up there, they don't want them to fail, and if they do struggle, they really hesitant because then it looks like a failure on the organization's development side, right? So if a Dylan Cruz is ready, listen, he hit at LSU. It's not like he was at, some Division II school. I mean, he faced the best of the best every day, okay, in college. And so he's probably a little more ready than most people. Okay, but then I look down and I see like this Ethan Salas kid, right? 17 years old. He had a 472 OPS in high A, and they put him in Double A. Why? What's the point? What's the point? There's only a few weeks left in the season anyways.
He's 17.
He's 17 years old. Like, that one doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why would you send a 17-year-old kid to Double A?
You want him to catch the Double A pitchers? Plus, is there something to that? I don't know.
Plus, you're putting him in a situation where he's just younger than everybody too. So, I mean, I don't know the kid at all, and I've heard great things about his makeup and everything. But as somebody, when I first went to AAA, I was 21, and I think the next youngest guy was like 25 or 26. That's a big deal because you're like, oh man, I don't know any of these. I can't. They're talking about kids. I'm talking about I'm a kid.
In Double A or Triple A?
AAA. Sorry, AAA. Sorry, AAA. Double A. I was great because I had all my peers I'd come up with.
Yeah.
And then I was the first one to jump to AAA. And they're like, the next guy is like 25, 26 years old. And I'm like, these dudes are talking about having kids. And I'm talking about me. I'm a kid. I'm still like 21 years old, right? Just haven't turned 21. So I'm like, man, what's happening? It's an adjustment. But to be 17 in Double A, think about that. 17 years old. I mean, there's no way. I mean,
if you're hitting 400 in A-ball, go for it. But if you're hitting 200 in A-ball, I don't know if it's the best example.
I think this is why I think what Russ said was so important. Each organization values different things, and they trust their development differently. But I just think there's something to be said for rushing guys. I think we over-rush guys a lot of times, and that's why we see so many guys have a hard time because they're really not ready. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to figure out who's ready and who's not because certain people – listen, you get up there, and Kratz will tell you, when you step foot on a big league field, it's a different animal than AAA, AA, college. Every single move you make is scrutinized. And there is I can't know of another job besides professional athletics that everything you do is looked at on TV, newspapers, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want to call it, internet. And there's not if I go to a guy's job that works in an office 7 days a week, 5 days a week, and I sat there and I was like, oh, you messed up that spreadsheet, they'd be like, right? But in athletics, everything is there.
Yeah, of course.
In AAA even it's different. So when you get to that big league level and those lights comes on, that they say third deck syndrome, it hits people. It hits people hard.
Mets sent down Brett Beatty. Jordan Walker was sent down kind of for no reason. They just had a logjam, and I don't know. That was a weird situation for the Cardinals. I mean, he's the same player since he's been back up, and they're not knocking him for, hitting too many balls on the ground or something.
Can we say maybe service time manipulation?
Maybe service time.
I don't want to say that.
What?
But...
Crazy. I mean, Kratz, the other thing to consider here is I brought up how if you stay under the 45 days, you're eligible to be rookie status next year and get your team a draft pick, which they value a ton, a high draft pick, basically a first-round pick. And let's also not forget, rookies cost less than anything else. So if he does come up, he's cheap as shit. So there's the part of, we need reinforcements. We got a guy right here, and you can't make trades at this point. But also, the guy is good. It's going to cost you nothing for, 3 years, and then not a ton for another 3 years.
There's so many things that AJ said that I agree with, and there's so many things that I want to, rebuttal and talk about. You were exactly right. Organizations know this guy better than we know this guy, whether they hype them up or not. Like a Jackson Holiday, whose heartbeat is super slow and is just he's been around a big league clubhouse, like legitimately. He wasn't like 12 and his dad was already out of the game for 3 years. Like my son hit with his son with the Yankees, hitting dingers out of Yankee Stadium. Like Dylan Cruz, like you said, SEC, he's killing it. He's already older than some of the kids he's going to play with in Double-A that are prospects. The kid they just moved, Jacob Young, up to Triple-A for him, is right at the same age. So it's all case-by-case basis. And to me, the thing I think some organizations do incorrectly, and it's not necessarily like we're talking about the elite of the elite. Ethan Salas is supposed to be this incredible defender, and I played with his dad. I know the family is freaking like really intelligent. They're super smart. They come from, a really, really good background, but he's catching. So maybe they want to move him up to Double-A because of his receiving, and the high A pitchers were just scattering balls all over the place. And so you get guys that maybe can control it a little bit more. And he might spend 2 years at Double-A. He might go to Triple-A at this time next year to be able to catch younger pitchers or older pitchers that have an idea. And now he starts getting kind of that like idea of how to approach hitters and how to attack guys. Instead of in high A, you're sitting there going, it's 2-0. We have a 2-0 high A rule. Fastball right down the middle. You have to call it. A lot of organizations do that. So there's different stuff that goes into it. But the thing I have a problem with is when organizations, yes, service time manipulation, that sucks. They're still doing it. Even though the rules changed, they're still doing it. The thing that sucks is when organizations have a 21, 22-year-old and they're like, well, we don't need to get a AAA guy. We don't need to get a veteran into this situation at the beginning of the year because we'll just go and give this guy, he's on our 40-man, so we can call him up and down, and now we're holding on to our 40-man spots way tighter. Like the Yankees, because we talk about them all the time, Jake Bauers, you got that guy. You got Billy McKinney because you can bring those guys up to the big leagues, option them down. Up to the big leagues, option them down. You don't want to be doing that to a Peraza, a Cabrera, younger guys that's when it like really plays with them because they're sitting there going, did I do something wrong? Did I need to change something? I thought I was ready. You told me 3 weeks ago I was ready. Oh, now you're telling me I'm just going to be optioned up and down. That's the kind of thing that I think affects younger players, not calling up a Jackson Holiday and being like, dude, you are ready. Let's get it.
No, he's right. But everything he said was true. Like I said, the only thing that organizations don't want to do is they don't want to send their stars back down once they call them up. They don't. And I've lived it. I've seen dudes that probably should have gone down, and they were hype prospects, and they didn't send them down because they're like, we might wreck them forever. We'll keep them here.
I think some do now. I would argue some do.
I think some do. You're right. But I'm saying not every organization is okay with that because every player is a different human being, and they deal with different things different ways. And organizations are different communicators. Some are good, some aren't so good, right? So if I'm, let's say I'm a Yankees, the front office, and we call up Dominguez because we were talking about him, and he gets off to a horrible start. They might be great communicators and say, listen, Jason, we're sending you down because A, B, C, D, and we think you can be back here in 3 weeks if you hit A, B, C, and D. And he goes down there and says, you know what? They were right. Boom. Or they could go, we're just sending you down because you ain't any good. We'll see you later. Like, not saying that's how it's going.
But as a valued prospect.
But you understand what I'm saying. There's different people handle everything differently.
Torkelson got optioned last year, and he had a slow start again this year, and he's been better now since. But I think it just depends on the mental component of the player that you're dealing with.
It does,
and
in the organization.
In your system,
in the
organization. Understand him, yes, and the organization. So,
and you do need that. Like, think about back to Aaron Judge. Went off in 2017. He was up in 16. He struggled at the end of the season, and he went off in spring training 17. There was internal discussions that came out. He might not make the team. Like even though he had a really good spring training, plenty of haters who have a lot of time in the big leagues say, spring training is not a precursor. They gave him the opportunity. Obviously, look where he's at now. Dustin Pedroia hit like 190 in April in Boston. They kept giving him a chance. Tito gave him a chance. It's really case by case. But when you manipulate guys without communication, like AJ said, it's bad. It's bad. If you're just and I also think if you're just using a guy like options, it makes a prospect feel like he's not quite that prospect. And sometimes prospects need that like build up. You can tell him he's really good, but if you show him that, oh, well, you just have options, you're going to have these options forever. You know, you'll have 3 years of options, but then they'll be like, well, actually, we have a fourth one because you were in the big leagues before you were 20, and then we can manipulate that. It just feels like you're more grinding, and most prospects at any point really haven't had to grind through that roster crunch. They have a hot month, boom, I'm up in high A. Another hot month, boom, I'm up in double A kind of thing.
Well, my thing is, you know, you're naming like Pedroia and all those guys. I mean, I can. Gordon Beckham came up, had a great month and a half. Next year he was awful, and they didn't want to send him down because they were like, we might ruin him, right? We had Brian Anderson in 2006, took over for Aaron Rowan in center field of the White Sox. He wasn't very good offensively. Now you could go get it, but they should have sent him down at one point and said you need to work on certain things, and they didn't because they're like, we don't know if we'll ever get him back, right? So you can go either way on this, but again, it goes back to the organization, knowing the players and knowing how to communicate with the players, and the players knowing and believing that the organization has their back. And like Kratz says, prospects are always treated differently than suspects.
Yes, if you're highly regarded, it's going to look a little bit different. And I will say, if Nolan Shanwell can get called up.
Chris Sale did it. Chris Sale was up in a month after getting drafted.
My point is Dylan Cruz.
Paul Skeens should be in the big leagues. If I'm the Pirates, I'm like, why not throw him out there?
There's no way they'll do that.
No, but you can control his innings. You can put him in the bullpen and say, hey, or let him have a start or two. He's pitching in the complex league. I mean, it's not like he's not pitching. So call him up and be like, hey, guys, hey, Paul, we're going to give you 3 starts in September. Because you get extra roster spots. Why not? Why not do it? Why not call up Dylan Cruz and say, if you're the Washington Nationals and you're...
No, Cruz would. I mean, I think that makes sense for the Nats. The Pirates operate differently.
I'm just saying.
Pirates.
Obviously, the Pirates. But I'm saying if I'm the Pirates,
yeah,
I'm Ben Cherington, well, I would look at it and say...
Oh, I think he should, but I don't know if his owner would let him. The Nationals, I think, would say, yeah, screw it. It's fine. We can call up Dylan Cruz. We're good.
The Pirates are sitting there. The Pirates are sitting there like this. They're holding this Paul Skeens like rare, unique golden egg, and they're like, we don't know what to do with it.
How much money can we make off it?
I don't know. Let's ask Bob Nutting. What does Bob Nutting have to say? I don't know. And they're just like, all right, let's take our Paul and put him in another level. Is that cool? Like, is that like the guys in the big leagues are probably like, yeah, come on, guys, bring him up. You know, Shelton's up there and Radley Haddad, their coordinator of extreme strategies. They're up there like, yeah, this dude's a big leaguer. In the minor leagues, Bob Nutting's like, oh, my Paul Skeens.
It's true. Precious. All right, let's get in the weeds for a few minutes here.
We were just deep in the weeds.
We were deep in the weeds.
We were deep in the bushes.
Let's continue.
We were deep in the bushes.
Well, now we have real weeds if you're watching the YouTube version of the show right now. The Twins received a standout performance from Dallas Keuchel this weekend, who was carrying a little perfecto. Went 6 1/3, 1 hit, no runs, punched out 3. Vintage Dallas Keuchel on the mound for the Twins.
Vintage Pittsburgh Pirates are awful.
Strikes.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Pirates.
They swung at everything.
No strikeouts, right?
Well, that was his first 3. No, he had 3 strikeouts. That's his third start. Those were the first 3 strikeouts he's had in 3 starts.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I was watching that game. I watched
this. It's a different look.
Once he got into the 6th inning,
yeah,
I was watching. I love Dallas. He's a great dude.
Yeah,
love him. Like, wish him the best. But I'm like watching it, and they're like, his velocity's up, and he was 84. And I'm like, damn, his velocity's up? I'm like, what was it before? I mean, he's like 86, and he's just like, pfft. I mean, it's like Jamie Moyer used to be.
Jamie Moyer pitched for a long damn time.
I know he did.
And nowadays, when everybody throws one way, if someone else throws a different way, that could be something for a little bit of time. No?
No, listen, the Twins are counting on it. The Twins.
He's not the only one.
The Twins
either.
just friggin' are going to a 6-man rotation to keep him in the rotation.
Have you seen Kyle Hendricks pitch?
Yeah,
Doesn't throw hard.
I know, but he can go boop. He can
Yeah,
dot
but
him
he throws strikes.
Dallas Keuchel can throw strikes.
Not his
Dallas
first 2 starts,
Keuchel-
he did.
Dallas Keuchel does not throw straight. That's why he had success yesterday. That's why Jamie Moyer had success. Jamie Moyer talks about like, man, I would just attack the zone. You would attack the corners, and teams that would chase, young hitters that would chase, would have weak contact out of the zone. Dallas Keuchel, the year he won the Cy Young, he threw the most amount of pitches out of the zone for contact of any pitcher in the big leagues that year.
Yep.
That's what
that
he
was
does.
always the key to his success. I mean, even you'd watch him in playoff games. They're like, is the ump going to give him that corner, right? Because it's right on the line and a little bit off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point they do. And yesterday, Laz called 16 pitches towards his way. So
Maddox,
and he had the Pirates
Hernandez.
dude swinging at everything.
Right, and they were aggressive Pirates hitters. So
I love how they keep talking about. I've watched 2 of his 3 starts. They keep talking about his velocity is up. Somebody's selling that because his velocity is not up. Somebody, and I think it's the Twins telecast. I'm not sure who I was watching.
Yes.
But before he got called up, it was like, his velocity is up. And it was like 88, 86, 83, 86. And it was like, where's the – haven't seen – maybe in the minor leagues he was like 91 or upper 90. 90.6, 90.7, upper 90.
Upper 90. I think also if you're talking that much when Dallas is on the mound about Velo, you're probably looking at the wrong things. Like you're talking about Velo the whole time.
Yeah, but you have to understand when he was released by the White Sox, their main thing was he wasn't throwing hard enough.
Right.
Right, and he wasn't getting no swings. And then he went to Driveline, and they're like, we got him 4 or 5 miles an hour. And they were like, he's throwing harder in the minor leagues in AAA. And then he gets here, and you're like, 80 poo. 80 poo. Change up 80 poo.
Whatever, it's working.
I hope he stays.
Well, it worked.
The Twins are the kings of mediocrity, 5-5 in their last 10. They have now
6-game lead, baby.
6-game lead over Cleveland. And look out for Detroit, 7.5 games back. The AL Central is terrible. There's been some articles written about it recently. We'll bring some of those writers on to talk about it soon. All right, let's swing back. We'll show our poll results. So if you haven't voted yet, I'm about to vote for it's a tough one. Most disappointing team of the playoff contenders this year. We'll come back and we'll look at the crime committed by Pete Alonso on the field this weekend.
Last question. Adam, what's some advice that you give to your 15-year-old self that maybe I could, take along with me?
Do more push-ups. I always tell myself that. That's a Scott Braun this recipe. But just practice, and also take your time off. Take time off. Relax. Because San Diego, I know we got all the sports, but you can play in the wintertime. There's no day off. You can play, Thanksgiving tournaments, Christmas tournaments. Just take some time off. Just remember to give your body a little bit of rest.
Okay. And then one of my last questions, what about mentally, like the mental side of the game? What are your, thoughts, opinions, or like, what do you, like when you're playing or when you are playing, like what do you think about right before you go on the box, on the on-deck circle, or even just after like a good or bad, like, I don't know, what are you saying to yourself?
Well, you're a little too young for some of the things that we say to ourselves in the majors in this show. But no, it's the mental approach is very important because you have to go up there, understand that. Look hey, you might have got me last time. This is a whole new opportunity. Whatever happened, it's the turn the page. Major leaguers are the best at turning the page. Each level you go, as you've seen, when you're playing high school ball, you're better than everybody. The second that you get into these tournaments and these classics, there's a lot of people that's on the same level. Once you get into pro ball college, it's the same thing. What separates you is who can turn that page better, who can have the amnesia the most, and who can just be like, hey, I failed then, now it's time to succeed over. So it's just having that amnesia and understanding that, hey, it's a failure's game, but I'm going to come out on top.
And now, back to foul territory.
Back at it on Stadium. All right, so answer to the first poll question, which playoff contender has been the biggest disappointment out of
White
the four
Sox?
that we gave you? Nope, that's not an option. That's definitely not true. They are
Said
not as much of a
nobody.
disappointment. Padres are leading the pack. Mets 2, Yanks 3, Cardinals 4. I went Padres, obviously. I thought they were going
You
to be.
picked them and the Mariners
a
to
World
have
Series team.
the
Mariners look pretty damn good. So
complex Peoria League
50%
World Series.
right. That's not bad. What out of those 4? What's the most shocking? If I told you April 1, yeah, they're gonna suck.
Cardinals for me.
Okay, Kratz.
Cardinals.
Because
Wow.
of the division and because of who they had.
Yeah,
I mean, you have Arenado, you have Goldschmidt, you bring in Contreras, you have a solid roster. Now, granted, we didn't know Flaherty was going to get off to a horrible start. Wainwright was going to miss all this time. Their bullpen kind of imploded. Michaelis has been okay. He's actually been the one guy that's been pretty good for him.
pitches.
Yeah,
and he's been on
but I mean, the rest
on
of them, Matt, you could have probably, Montgomery didn't do great. That to me, because of the division and because of who they had, it just seemed like a safer bet.
I thought they'd hit better.
It just seemed like a safer bet. Yeah.
I thought they'd play better D. Their D has fallen apart too. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about them more right now here as we pop off, presented by Cereal Pop. We're going Cereal Pop today. It's a Monday, and it feels earlier than it is.
No candy?
No, cereal.
I know, but I'm saying
Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles.
we like the Pebbles.
Yes.
Breakfast.
Congratulations, Masyn Winn, on your debut, your first big league hit, that baseball tossed into the stands, and then the subsequent tequila and signed bat that you were given by Pete Alonso to apologize, despite the fact that Cardinals fans think that it was very malicious and that he was kind of showing the ball to the Cardinals dugout and then tossed it into the seats. Maybe because, according to some conspiracy theorists on social media, he was hit by a pitch from Genesis Cabrera last year on the head, and then eventually, remember, Stubby Clapp kind of like took him down. So with all of that being said, of course Pete was thinking about that when young Masyn Winn came to the plate. He said, "This is where I'm going to get back at Cardinals fans and toss this baseball into the seats. F you, St. Louis." Is that exactly how it happened?
That's exactly what was going through Polar Bear's head.
Right.
Was, man, I'm going to screw with these Cardinals because I hate them so much for hitting me last year that I am going to throw this ball in the stands and get a Cardinal fan, by the way. I guarantee that fan got something.
Oh, of course.
He got a Masyn Winn or an autograph. He got some stuff, right?
Yes.
So actually, I feel like Pete was helping a Cardinals fan.
Mm-hmm.
If he really wanted to screw it, he would have thrown it to like a Mets fan.
He would have taken it with him. Just pocket it.
Just be like, no,
screw you. You'll
send
have
me
to take me
something.
down.
But what if Masyn Winn? What if Masyn Winn didn't want an autograph Pete Alonso bat?
Well, then he can put it on the market or do whatever he wants.
I know, but it's just
Everyone
it's funny
wants
that
a nice
Pete,
bottle of tequila either for themselves or give it out.
Pete is awesome, but like, what if?
Well,
what if he doesn't want him, man?
Gave them 2 gifts. The other gift is a gift
But
that anyone
still,
can
like,
appreciate.
what a gesture by Pete to be like, "Hey, Masyn, I'm so cool that you can have one of my bats."
What else would you? Okay,
I
if it
would
was
not
you,
have given him something signed by me.
what would you have given him?
No, I don't know. The bottle of tequila and been like, "Sorry, bro, my bad." And if you didn't like tequila, I would have called over to the clubhouse and asked the clubhouse guy, "Hey, what kind of liquor does Masyn Winn like, or what
Yeah.
is Masyn Winn like? If you don't, maybe you don't drink, but what is he like? What is he into? Like, is he into video games? Send him $1,000 to Apple or something, right? Like something. I mean, he's what, 21?
21.
Yeah, like
21.
He's into video games and iTunes and stuff. You're doing, here's $1,000 to iTunes. Like, but it's just funny to me that Pete was like, I got the perfect gift.
Yeah, but he gave him the tequila as.
I know, but it's still
secondary
the
prize.
bat was like unnecessary for me.
Wait, Kratz. Okay, and I don't know what it said, but if he wrote on the bat, "Hey, dude, sorry, I'm a ditzy first baseman that didn't realize the moment," then I think it's like a cool piece of memorabilia from a dude, right? No?
He could just write that on the note.
Brock Holt had the story about Chris Sale.
But he asked Sale to sign it.
Yeah.
He went to him and said, "Chris, will you sign this?"
The bat that he smashed.
Yeah, Masyn Winn didn't go to Pete Alonso and be like, "Hey, bro, I know you threw my ball in the stands, but can you sign a bat for
All
me?"
right, we're going to get Masyn Winn on. Not today.
Kratz, give me your thoughts, because I mean, I think you think it's as funny as I do that it was the Pete Alonso bat that put it over the top.
That was the thing I wrote. That was the thing I wrote down. It was such a Pete thing to do. Like, hey, bro, here's a bat signed by me. I've been hitting pretty well in the big leagues for a long time, and here's a thumbs up too. Anything else you need, Masyn? I thought Pete did everything right, except for that was just a very corny thing to do. There's so much more you can do. Masyn Winn plays shortstop. Hey, are you a Lindor fan? Lindor, you mind sending a bat over? He kind of looks up to you, kind of thing. I really screwed up by throwing the ball into the stands. And so, yes, I thought it was hilarious that you came up with the same thing that
you guys
think about this,
such
though.
ball players.
No, but, okay, so
wait, can you just clarify real quick though that what Pete did was not?
No, God, no, it was not intentional.
Many people think that it were.
That
it was.
Kratz, you've been there, and I've been there. Guys go get a hit, and you kind of know if they're not.
But they're like, why are you doing that?
But there's been times where
it's not the end of the inning. Stop tossing the ball.
But okay, so
guys do that.
Say a guy got a hit, and then the pitcher will get the ball back. Not even because you're not thinking. You're thinking about the next hitter, and they'll throw the ball. And I've taken a ball, the guy got a hit, and I've thrown it in our dugout. And they're like, ah, and then you're like, oh shit.
Oh, you didn't realize?
You just don't realize because let's say sometimes you're just not thinking about it, and it was Pete third rowed it. I mean, he third decked it when he crow hopped, and he's like, "Hey, Ollie Marble, watch this finger." Woo! I know, man. Come on, man.
There's also netting. You can't just toss it to the first row.
That's what I'm saying. He chucked it way up.
You have to go.
It would have been cool if he would have known where his family was and just thrown it to them, in the second.
Some people thought he did that. I'm like, that would be ridiculous.
That would be a pimp move.
That is too expected.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Too difficult to accomplish.
Hader struck out something Josh Hader struck out something 16 guys in a row, whatever the record was, and I had no idea. Caught the third pitch, boop boop, catcher trot off the field, flipped it into the stands. They come up to me like, "Where's strike three?" I was like, "I don't know. I probably threw it in the stands." They're like, "You idiot! That was the MLB record." I was like, "Well, you got to tell me, you got to stop me. I'm not. You're not sitting there going unless it's 300th homer or 1,000th strikeout." Even then, you don't know. I'm not looking through the stat book, through the media guide and be like, "Hey, Christian, 2 more doubles and you got 500." No chance.
Usually they tell you though. Most good teams,
they're on it.
Most PR people will come up to you and say, "Hey, if so and so strikes out 2 more, that's 1,000. Just be a heads up for it."
Yep.
Now I remember we turned a triple play in the Metrodome one time, and Uribe was our shortstop. It was on a bunt. And everyone was going crazy, and he just takes the ball and goes, "Phew!" And we're like, "No!" Because it was
triple play?
Well, it was just one of those most random things. So, somebody wanted I don't know, whoever it was, but it was just funny that he didn't even think about it. He just threw the ball up in the stands because they don't happen that much, right? It was the first one the White Sox had turned in forever. And so he just, phew.
Well, that should show everyone how often this has actually happened. And relax on Pete, okay? Yeah. And sorry that he hits 1 billion homers in your ballpark. So if you want more on Masyn Winn, though, for Cardinals fans, something to look forward to, Baseball America's J.J. Cooper gave us a little breakdown of what to expect from Winn.
Coming up to the big leagues, the Cardinals just promoted their top shortstop prospect to the major leagues. So what are they going to get in him? Well, last year when he got his first chance at the national stage at the Futures game, day before the game, he says, "You know what? I think I'm going to go out and throw 100 miles an hour in the game tomorrow on an infield throw." No one had ever done that in the majors, in the minors. No one had ever done that measured by StatCast. So what did Masyn Winn do? He went out and he threw over 100 miles an hour, setting the StatCast record. It's that kind of arm. It's the best infield arm in the game. Ellie De La Cruz is the only one who can probably try to give him an argument on that, but I think Masyn Winn actually throws a little bit harder. But it's not just that. What are the Cardinals getting? They're getting a guy who has a chance to be a true shortstop with power and speed. He's shown it this year. He's flirting with a 2020 season this year. He stole 43 bags last year in the minors. This is a player with near, I wouldn't say top of the scale, but near top of the scale speed, legitimate power, continue to develop as a hitter. Most important thing that the Cardinals are getting is they're getting a chance to see him now, so he'll be ready to help them, and they'll be more confident in his ability to step in their lineup full-time next year in 2024.
J.J. Cooper, and for everyone to know, as always, thanks to our friends Cookie, Candy, and Cereal Pop, you can visit them at cookiepopcandypop.com and enter the code FOULBALL for 20% off on the website. All right, we'll swing back and give you our picks and look ahead to some matchups for tonight on FT Live.
Does the Rays organization deserve more credit for this, or more of a almost why are so many guys getting hurt question? Because one, they've weathered the storm with all these guys on the IL, and then the Franco situation, they bring it up, and they're still more than likely going to make the playoffs. But do they also deserve a little bit of what the holy hell is happening in Tampa Bay? Because these guys are blowing out. I don't know the numbers exactly. We tried to find it, but it's kind of hard to find. That they seem, maybe it's just a perception from us, they seem to blow out more guys on average than other teams do. Now, you're with them every day, so you probably know better. But is it an organization's credit that they survive this, or is it to their detriment that they have so many guys that blow out?
Probably both, I guess, AJ. I mean, I think you could say both. They certainly deserve the questions. They know that. They've answered some of them. We've done a couple stories on this. There are some lists out there where they're actually like second or third most Tommy John guys over the last couple of years. I think because their guys are more prominent guys to their rotation, it gets more attention. And one thing I can point out is, and I know this is a kind of a baseball saying, but one of the precursors to an elbow injury for a pitcher is a previous elbow injury for a pitcher. Rasmussen had it before. McClanahan had Tommy John before. Springs had some issues before, I think. So they've had some guys that had, they kind of get them sometimes because they previously have been hurt. But I think the answer to your question is both. They deserve some credit for having the depth and the ability to weather all of these things, and the kind of that stay calm, keep level-headed approach that Kevin Cash brings to the clubhouse that prevents guys from getting, oh, wow, woe is me. You don't hear a lot of that in the clubhouse. You don't hear it from him. But also, I think it's a fair question, and one that the Rays, have said that, they're going to, they need to go back and, as any team would in this situation, look at everything and figure out if there is something that they're doing. But I think they feel overall that their pitching development program, their medical training staff, their athletic training staff, their conditioning program, that all those things are in line and not any specific thing is causing this.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it on FT Live, just closing up another poll. I know some of you were playing along. We said, which playoff favorite are you least shocked to see struggle out of those same teams? I picked Yankees. I actually thought that they could really struggle given the kind of like roster aging and a little staleness in my mind. Not a lot coming up through the system for this year. For next year, it should be better off. Anyway, let's get to our locks, shall we? Your Bet MGM locks for Monday, as we always do, keeping receipts, looking back at a Friday that was semi-successful. Half of us doing okay. Adam's a homer, but it works out for him more often than not. I mean, he had to lay down 185 for Baltimore's money line, but it worked. I hit my Atlanta money line with Strider's punch-outs. A little nerfy action for Kratzy, but we had some offense in that opener there. And AJ, you got some work to do now.
Dude, Bayo made me so mad. He had four punchies in 2 innings, and I'm like,
good.
He's hitting this easy, and then went 7 and didn't get another strike.
I didn't even text you just because I knew you would have given me shit.
Dude.
Yep.
You punched out 4 of the first 6, then you didn't get another one the rest of the game. We can't, luck our way into 1 or 2?
No. Got to get the swing and miss. All right. Get back on the winning side of things. We're all going with plus money locks today. Just want to throw that out there.
Okay. Mine's even money.
Right. But still, were you going plus Hondo or better?
Okay,
props.
We'll give you minus 100.
I don't know about that one.
All right. What's your plus pick?
I'm going with my Gator boy, Alex Faedo. 5 strikeouts, and then Assad for the Cubby Bears. 2. Now, I know he's kind of an opener. He usually only goes 3 innings or so.
Action. Yep.
But he usually goes 2 to 3 innings, and he usually strikeouts a guy per inning. And that's plus 100. I'm betting the 285 to get me back to 0.
Okay.
So I'm down 285. I'm going to bet 285.
You're going 285. Claudia, mark it. All right. Kratzy?
I had a bad week last week. I like that pick by you. Assad's his pitch count's been up to 83, 86 pitches. I like that. I'll tail that. I'm going to go with Nola giving me 6+ against the Giants, who just struck out against AJ during the break. So they strike out against everybody. And the game is going to be over 5.5 runs.
Nice. Okay.
That's it?
What? Well,
you mean for both teams?
Yes.
Or just the Phillies?
That's how you buy strikeouts to combine with your runs. Yes, I've done that before. Why
It's
are you
very
so
nice.
surprised? Yeah, that's
Because
how you
they're
do
playing
it.
in the small park.
I know, but you need
They're
both things
playing
to
in
happen.
Citizen Small
If
Park.
Nola has a bad day, then and they score a lot of runs, but
And
Nola's out in
Doyle
the fourth.
Alexander's pitching for the Giants.
I'm just saying, think about it. Kansas City money line for me.
Wow.
Okay,
I mean, wow.
they're
I don't
not
know.
favored. They're playing the A's.
I don't know that I ever thought that I would see that as a lock of the day.
Okay, so the
This
A's
year.
have been favored one time the whole year.
And this is it.
It was home against Kansas City, and they lost 5-1. The Royals offense, I've watched a good amount of Royals offense lately. Looks pretty
Why?
good. Bobby Witt's been one of the
Why?
best players in baseball
Why?
right now. Well, because they played the Mariners last week. I was betting on that one. So Tucker Davidson against Paul Blackburn. I know why the A's are favored because Blackburn's like, an okay pitcher. He's an
Okay.
average pitcher in the
Yeah.
bigs right now,
Yeah.
right? Borderline all-star
All-star.
for Oakland.
He made
Did
the
he
All-Star
make
game
it?
last
Did he
year, I
make it?
thought.
Not this year,
I
though.
thought it was last year he made it. Did he not?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
KC bullpen better than Oakland bullpen. KC offense better than Oakland offense. So that's how I do it. BetMGM Swing for the Fences is on right now. If you log into the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, play the BetMGM free-to-play game. It runs for a while still. You can pick an area of the zone, and whatever the result is, like a double or a pop-out, you get the prize associated with that type of hit. Play once a day. Prizing must be used on MLB and expires in 24 hours. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, look out for our FT heater pick tomorrow on Tuesday's show. It's a little promo boost for you, okay? We'll be working hard overnight to prepare that. Hour number 2 includes Chas McCormick from the Houston Astros, and maybe don't tell him, but also Mike Ford from the Mariners, because those two are rivals. So we're bringing them both on. It's been lined up for a bit. They happen to have a series this weekend that was really, I think, all the talk in baseball. So we'll ask both of them about their sides of the equation and what's become a really great race in the AL West. That's it for us on Stadium. See you on Foul Territory's YouTube channel.
Gotta let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's keep it running. FT Live, Braun, Pierzynski, and Kratz. Go ahead, tell everyone what you know.
I know it's Scott Alexander. It's not Doyle Alexander pitching for the Giants, okay?
Everybody knows it's not a president.
It was a... Wait, what? Yeah, I know that, okay? So everyone, let's relax. It was kind of a bad joke, okay?
What do you know about Doyle Alexander?
I know he's a left-handed pitcher.
You
Pitched
know
for the
about
Tigers.
the famous trade?
Yeah, wasn't he for John Smoltz?
That's right.
For the Bravos?
That's right.
Yeah.
That
so-
was like what, last year?
Yeah, a couple years.
What
yeah,
year
A
is
couple
it?
weeks ago. Trade deadline. We
Anyway,
did 6 hours of it.
Here's a real, that's right. Here's a real, what year is it? The Yankees losing 8 in a row. And I was like, oh, this has got to be the low point. So they lose Friday. They have their team meeting.
They tried it.
They tried it.
Day with Cole going on
Oh,
Saturday.
they
They tried
tried
it.
it.
But they forgot the Cole didn't. They got a score in order to back. And
They
Cole
got 2
whacked.
hit. They were shut out. The number 8 hitter, Luis Urias, who's actually turning into a pretty nice pickup for the Red Sox, had his second grand slam with the ball club. And then their number 9 hitter, catcher Connor Wong, also hit a home run, a 2-run blast, and they blew out the Yanks. And then Yanks fans were freaking out, and rightfully so, Kratz, when IKF was bunting late in the game, and they were trying to say, oh, I think someone else tried to bunt or was thinking about bunting, because I didn't watch that whole game. I was watching others. Plus, sorry, I'm not going to be watching a non-playoff contender as much as I'm going to watch playoff contenders. It's just a fact. Oh, it was Volpe hit thinking about bunting Kratz, and they were like, we had the scouting report on Cutter Crawford. He had trouble throwing the bases. And then you look back, people obviously did the homework, and it was like 2 situations from like April, like one bad pickoff throw and then maybe one other play. And I'm like, see, that's a little too in the weeds research-wise. Like, swing the fucking bat and get on the board.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you get something going. Now, if Judge is laying a bunt down, I think I'd be more like a single from IKF, whether it's bunted or not, I think I have no problem with him bunting there. You got to get on. What were they down? 7-2, 9-2 at the time? Like,
yeah, I agree, Kratz. Like,
you're just trying to.
That's his game, though. His game's not hit popping homers.
Yeah,
his
so
game's
he's trying
getting
to
on
take advantage
base.
of something.
Yeah, and he's been good for him, so I don't want to hear about IKF because
I'm not criticizing
No,
him.
I'm just saying, but other people have been. He's been good
Yanks
for him.
just let them swing and try to do
The
some
worst
damage.
was the loss yesterday.
That was the worst.
Volpe hits the home run to tie him. Ref Snyder falls down in left field, and they get the guy banged at the plate, and then JT comes through with a double to give him the lead in the ninth. First and second, no outs. Middle of their order up, Judge, Torres, and punchy, weak fly ball, game over, sweep. They don't get to hear it. They make the woman sing in New York, not the guy. It's always what you wanted when you played the Yankees. You want the girl to sing, not the boy. Because that means the Yankees lost.
Who's the girl that sings? What's the song?
They sing New York, New York, but it's Sinatra, I think, if they win.
Yes.
And if
I
they
know.
lose, a woman sings. I don't know who it is, though.
Oh, I didn't know that. But also, like, I mean, I've been to a million Yankee games. I'm bad at paying attention to things. I'm like Pete Alonso with.
I never knew that.
Yeah. It used to be. It might not be true anymore, but it used to be.
I don't feel as bad because Kratz played for them.
Well, because if he won, he only heard the guy, and if he lost, he was off the field in the dugout, gone.
True.
So as a visitor, you always heard it more. Right? Like Cubs games, they play that song they have, whatever.
You have some Yankee fans disputing your claim here.
I don't really care. They can't dispute they're not making the playoffs. It used to be Kate Smith if they lost, Sinatra if they win. So all you people that are hating it, as DX used to say, suck it.
Anyway, our friends at Baseballer said Julio Rodriguez with 17 knocks in 4 games, same for the Yanks in those 4 games. So they're struggle city. Anyway, let's get to the Houston Astros right now and Chas McCormick debuting on FT Live. Chaz, great to have you on, dude. Ooh, looks like a nice little cozy seat you've got going on there, dude. Happy Monday.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm just sitting behind home plate here. Just love looking at this field. It's a beautiful field.
Wait, is that Bagwell or Biggio seat? Because they always sit in that front row right behind home plate. So who's did you steal today?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I wonder whose seat I'm in right now.
It's a good spot.
Oh, it's a great spot.
It's a good spot.
I've sat there. I think I sat there with Millar for a few innings for a playoff game last year, the year before.
You know what the best part of Houston is? They have a roof when it's 120 outside, and they have a roof and it's 72, and you're like, thank you, God, there's a roof. I don't have to sweat to death.
The best part.
Well, Chaz, you weathered the conditions.
What?
You weathered the conditions growing up, no?
Yeah, not really. I mean, where I'm from, it's kind of it's more cold than like in Houston. I'm not used to this Houston weather. Well, now I am, but not the humidity here.
Dude, he's from Philly. They don't have heat in Philly.
Yeah, but he had to deal with cold ass weather, rain, all that. No.
Yeah. No, we just didn't have any roofs. We had to play in the snow and the rain, and so it kind of sucked.
Excuse Scott, Chaz. He never played, so just excuse whatever he says. Just
whatever
he talks about, just be like, Scott, you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not asking any more questions. You got it. AJ.
I got a great question
because your interview.
I had him
just called his game recently.
I had him on Saturday, and I said on the air, and I asked Dusty Baker this question before the game. I said, did Chas McCormick go and watch José Altuve tapes and just swing like him, especially your lower half, and then just try to emulate him because he just got his 2000th hit, and he's probably going to the Hall of Fame. He's definitely going to be in the Astros Hall of Fame. One of the great Astros of all time. So, Chaz, did you just say I'm going to hit like José Altuve and then go about it? Because if you put you two next to each other, your hands start a little bit different, but your lower halves, I mean, they are identical working.
Yeah. That's what just the only difference is really he starts open and dives in, and I'm already kind of closed off, and I dive in a little more. So So obviously, I mean, it would be helpful if I could start open like him and then not cut myself off as much, because he does a really good job getting to the inside pitch, even pulling balls dead left. But I do watch him hit a lot, and mostly just how we finish, like you said, in our lower half, and how we kind of dive to the ball, and then we can poke into the left center, right center gap. But I always tell him I have more opposite field juice than him, so it's pretty nice to see how he hits as well.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when dudes tell him they got more opposite field juice. When I was on the BP team there in 16, I got to watch Correa try to hit more oppo bombs than Altuve. Does he? Are you his new muse? Are you the guy who you go up against him in BP? Or are you in a different group?
I mean, I'm in a different group. I'm not I'm not in group one where where the stars are the Altuves, the Alvarezes. I actually don't take much BP on the field. I'm more of a cage machine kind of guy right before the game.
Alex Cintron allows you to do that. I was talking to him on Saturday, and he said, we got to get more guys out here to hit. So I guess you're one of those guys Alex was talking about?
I mean, maybe, but
no, he didn't say that. It's just I love Alex. I played with Alex. He's great. He's one of the best. And so, no, he did not say that. So don't worry about it. You're safe.
No, yeah, it's so I didn't know you played with him. Yeah, he's a cool dude. I like him a lot.
Have you seen his numbers this year, Chaz's?
I just did their game on Saturday. Yes, I've seen his numbers. He's having You're not allowed to talk this interview.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Chaz, so I want to go back because I like talking hitting. So when you hit, and we talked about your lower half with Altuve, did you always naturally, we used to call it scissor kicking, right? Where your back foot and your front foot, they kind of work like scissors. Have you always done that? Or is that, because I know we used to try to work on that. And like Paul Konerko and Jermaine Dye always worked on the scissor with the back foot. Miguel Cabrera does it. Altuve does it probably better than anybody. But is that something you had to work on? Or did that come naturally with your back foot kind of?
Yeah, that came naturally. I never really worked on it. I just think I've always kind of worked on hitting the ball the other way, throughout high school and college. I was always really wide. So I had to narrow up a little bit. But then I kind of just, not sure what happened through pro ball, but I kind of dived in a little more. And then, eventually my scissor got bigger, I feel like. But I never really worked on it. It just kind of how it just naturally happened throughout the minor leagues and then even into the big leagues.
You are a freaking stud. All right, so I'm about 45 minutes from you. I grew up and live right near Lansdale. My shortstop on my high school team is now going to Millersville as a freshman, Nate Lapp.
Let's go.
So the boys are going to keep banging in Millersville.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you feel like being a northern kid that you were always kind of just behind this shadow of I didn't play a lot of games. The whole time you were just like bang, 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 bang. And it all culminated in you catching that double from Real Muto in Philly last year in the World Series?
Yeah. I mean, just playing at a small, Division II school, constantly playing in the cold, rarely having scouts kind of at our games. I just try to have kind of a chip on my shoulder, anyways, got the opportunity, got drafted, it was a blessing. And, then obviously playing in the World Series against Philadelphia last year, my second year in the big leagues. That was obviously my first time playing in Philadelphia as well. So even at being in the World Series and making that huge cash against JT Realmuto, everything kind of came at me all at once after that catch. But yeah, I just I always knew I was good enough, and even throughout the minor leagues, I was moving up pretty fast in this organization, and I was like, I have a chance. Even a couple of my hitting coaches were like, you're way closer than you actually think you are, and obviously just how good this team was from 16 to now, I was kind of always like, oh man, I hope the window of winning in this organization is still going as I get caught up in 20 or 21, whatever it was. And yeah, I was just happy to be able to go to the World Series my rookie year in 21 and then being able to win it last year.
Now you've come up through Houston. Have they approached you about an extension?
No, they haven't.
They should. Because since you've been up in the big leagues, you have been one of the most productive outfielders, moving around.
Yeah.
You play a little here and there, but you have been so productive. And you talk about the next window of winning.
Yeah.
You're part of that.
Yeah.
You're part of that.
No, that's no, I'm happy you said that, and that, you know, that's what I was hoping for. You know, I was going through the minor leagues. I was like, I hope I can be a part of this winning tradition. You know, I hope it doesn't end anytime soon. But yeah, I just the big leagues is so hard. You got to constantly work on your craft. I struggled a lot last year with right-handed pitching, with off speed, and obviously going into my arbitration year after this year. You know, through the off season and then into this year, I really needed to work on some things, you know, to be a more of an elite player. You know, I've always, took pride in my defense. I was always an athlete, played basketball, football growing up, you know, but, you know, being able to hit in the big leagues is super, super hard because, you know, when these guys start throwing sinkers at 98 and sliders away at 83, that's where you have to work on, you know, something more than just having your ability be able to take over, because you have to have a mental plan, and there's just a lot more things into it.
All right, so you're a local kid from where I'm at here. Like we said, you went to Henderson, right?
Yeah.
What people don't know is Chaz scored 1,000 points and had 100 hits in high school. So you were an athlete. But that's not what I want to talk about. Are you, in the middle of the World Series, are you buying a hoagie at Wawa because you're not getting one in Houston?
Definitely.
And what are you getting? What kind of hoagie are you getting?
Yeah. So I get a couple. It stinks that Houston doesn't have any Wawa. Even last night, I was telling my fiance, I was like, man, Wawa would be huge right now. But usually I go with a meatball sub, or a buffalo chicken sandwich. And those two are the go-to for me.
Solid.
Chaz, since you guys are having all this love about, you know, somewhere in Pennsylvania right now, what's the better school? Eastern Mennonite University or Millersville?
I would say Millersville.
Okay,
University.
good answer.
Yeah.
Do you know what Eastern Mennonite is?
I've never heard of Eastern Mennonite. No.
Well, that's where Kratz went to school, so now he's off the interview.
That's in Virginia. It's not even in the same state.
Oh, hell, you went there. You talk about it like it's next door, so I didn't know. I had to Google where it was.
He played at the elite level, Division II. I played at Division III. You played at high school.
That's right, Division I.
Yeah. What division did you play in?
7A, baby.
Kratz, you played for the Phillies, right? You for a little bit?
Probably when you were a kid, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I always enjoyed watching you play and the Phillies back in the day.
That's a lie. That's such a lie because he didn't play.
I did play for the Phillies.
Yeah, but like what, 25 games?
Oh my gosh.
No. The Phillies I played more.
Oh,
the Phillies I played more.
Yeah. Those were the glory days, and Chaz was watching. Like, Chaz, you know, you were watching Rollins and Utley and Howard and the whole group. You all right?
Yeah. You guys were loaded just with Holiday and Cliff Lee and even I can name them all: Joe Bland, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Raul Ibanez. I could even go to Polanco and Lieberthal.
Greg Dobbs.
Oh God.
Yeah, Dobbs.
Matt Stairs. Don't forget a good Matt Stairs.
Well, now it's immaculate good season, you know. So we know all these guys again.
Wait, you're not allowed to talk. So wait, Chaz, when you played the Phillies in the World Series, were you like?
That's what they were just talking
about. No, I know,
about.
but I'm like thinking about this now. I'm like, if he's such a Phillies fan, like, dude, it had to be kind of weird, but at the same time, awesome. We're like, we beat your ass.
Did you not watch the World Series, AJ?
Yeah,
sorry,
dude,
Chaz. He doesn't know what's going on.
I interviews. I
didn't watch your
Chaz
interviews.
like 3 times.
Did you?
He had friends there, right? That were like, oh, I don't know who to root for.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It was pretty strange. Just a lot of, even like friends from a couple of years ago in college, like they would text me or DM me, be like, "Oh, you're gonna swamp you've never played at a place like Citizens Bank Park." I'm like, we were friends a couple of years ago. Jesus. But it was definitely a little strange, but you know, I had good support all the way through from family and friends.
Yeah, those aren't your friends. Are trolling you. They ain't your friends anymore. Dude.
Like, they're your best friends.
I was like, what the heck is this?
It just shows you Philly fans, dude.
They're intense.
They're tough.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a cool
they-
scene.
It is cool,
They
though.
are
It was
tough.
awesome. The World Series, in Philly was awesome.
I will say, from my observation point as the broadcaster when I was there last year, there were a couple times where you noticed Chaz in particular, who was kind of taken in the scene, right? Like there were a couple times where you were there, like out on the field when not as many dudes were, so you could check out, like, holy shit, to be on the field now and see also a place that was packed, right?
No, yeah, it was pretty insane. Even just before the game, they had Meek Mill performing out there.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But no, definitely a tough little year for Philadelphia with the Phillies losing and then the Eagles losing the Super Bowl. So that was tough.
Really good at second place.
Yeah, but here's
Whoa,
the thing.
whoa. Easy who you're laughing at, all right, Chaz? Like, I'm making that connection with the Northeast kids here. I'm giving you mad props.
You're right. You're right.
I need you to say the word John, and I won't be mad at you.
What do you say, John?
Yeah, there you go. See, he knows what it is.
All that
Yeah, I
John.
know exactly what it is.
What is happening here? All right, let's get back to something a little more important, Jazz, besides your Northeast hoagies and Wawas. Because we got Wawas in Florida. It ain't like they're only in
Those are pretty important.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're more of a big deal up there, though.
Oh, they're a big deal here. You guys ain't got Buc-ee's, though. So when you get Buc-ee's, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Chaz, you guys played the Mariners this weekend. Didn't go so good for the home team. You guys had a big team meeting after the game. Was it like Dusty? Was it a player? I know you're not going to get into specifics. I don't want to know.
They did a little bit. Some of their guys
Yeah,
talked
but
about it
I hate
after the
when
game.
that. Yeah, I know.
Why?
I understand. But you don't want to, you just don't talk about that kind of stuff. But was it led by Dusty? Was it a players-only meeting? And then second of all, were you guys like, fuck these guys, man? We won the World Series last year. We just got Verlander. We're coming right back on them.
Yeah, it was Maldonado. It was just a players' meeting. Maldonado talked to us for a little bit, just saying it was a slap in the face. We kind of needed this. It was a wake-up call, and they did. They're a hell of a team, Seattle, and they kicked their butts. That's kind of what we just talked about. But again, like Maldonado said, some teams need it. We needed it. We can't really take things for granted. Every team wants to come to our house and beat us. So definitely a tough weekend. We're not playing our best ball. Seattle's playing great, but we're not playing our best ball. But hopefully, we get Tucker, Michael Brantley back, and we can, finish strong, because this race, this division race, this wild card race is going to come down to the last couple games of the season. So,
do you feel like teams play up to the Astros? I mean, I know, you haven't been in the league for a long time, but I feel like there are a few teams in baseball. Some of it has to do with legacy, and then some of it has to do with obviously just recently kicking most teams' asses and winning a lot, right? As a Houston ball club, where I feel like I've talked to Yankees that feel this way, where they're like, we're the Yankees. They play up to us. It's a big deal for them. They watch just more growing up. Do you feel that way as a player on the Astros with opponents sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, because we won the World Series last year, so this year we got a Bulls on our back. Everybody wants to beat us. But yeah, like you said about the Yankees, it's like, it's fun to play in New York. Every team wants to beat the Yankees, and you go into New York, and it's just like another type of atmosphere, because the environment, the stadium, the fans are electric. But yes, as winning the World Series last year, and then even going to the World Series in 21, and just the tradition the Astros have had for the past 6 years. You can definitely tell, especially Seattle this weekend, they came in wanting to kick our butts, and they did that.
Do you guys feel like you guys kind of got blindsided by Seattle? Kind of looking at the Rangers as like the team to beat in the division, and all of a sudden, wait, whoa, like who hit us here?
Yeah. I mean, every team's good in this league. We know how good Seattle is. But yeah, I think we didn't come ready to play, and they wanted it way more, and that's what it looked like. I could see fans getting caught up in watching the Rangers as well. Oh, if they lose, we're good. Obviously, I think they got swept this past weekend as well. But as a team, you can't really look ahead of those things or in the past and worry about other teams, because you got to worry about yourself. And I don't think we worried about ourselves, and we got our butts kicked this weekend. It just seems like, every time the Rangers lose, we lose. Every time we win, they win. But obviously, like you said, we didn't worry about Seattle, and they came in and kicked their butt. So now it's going to be a race for the rest of the year.
So it's a little scoreboard watching. Like, I think fans wonder when you start scoreboard watching. Sounds like you guys are scoreboard watching.
Well, yeah, I'm saying you can't do that, and maybe that's what happened, but obviously that you can't do that at all. You got to worry about yourself. This league's too hard to worry about other teams.
Hey, Chaz, were you freaking out when you saw the news, either as rumors or official, that Mr. Verlander was swinging back over to Houston?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, everybody in the clubhouse was kind of like chattering about it. I wasn't sure, but it's like 2 or 3 hours we're all at the field before the deadline, and it was funny. Like an hour or whatever, the news came out, and Bregman goes, "We got our dickhead back." So I thought that was.
Oh, okay. Let's make sure we're going to cut that so that Verlander doesn't hear
that. I just thought it was a funny thing, but we don't have to put that on.
No, that's funny.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Also, this is not FCC TV. I like that.
I know. I just but Chaz said putting Bregman in the corner.
No, it's a great line.
It's a great line. I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's one Justin will be okay with, I think.
Yeah, it's like the shove it up yours guy. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like our leader, our guy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
Chaz, you got so looking ahead even more after the season, you got a wedding coming up.
I do.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And where's the honeymoon? I mean, you signed for $1,000, so like you couldn't be taking big time trips, but now you're a big leaguer. You got your playoff bonuses. Big time big league honeymoon?
Yeah. That's what my fiance's saying. It's kind of we're in a position where we have the wedding February, so a little like a couple weeks before the spring training. So I don't think we can do it straight after the wedding just because it'd be a lot going on. So we're still trying to figure out maybe like after the season next year. We're kind of thinking about Cabo, maybe in Mexico.
I like that.
I like that.
We have our travel expert
just
right
got hit
next
by
to
a
me.
hurricane though, so watch out.
Well, they can go in a year. I think it'll be
True.
okay.
But here's my thing. I love what you did right there, Chaz, because you know where it's a great place to have your honeymoon? West Palm Beach, Florida, at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches.
Exactly.
You know what you do? This is what you say. You say, honey, Courtney, right? Your name's Courtney, right?
Yeah, Courtney.
Courtney. You can say, Courtney, we're in Palm Beach. I have to go to spring training, but I'm going to treat you to the Breakers for a weekend. You can enjoy the spa. You can enjoy the beach. You can enjoy all the pools.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to spring break. I'm going to go to spring training. I'll see you at 5:00.
Yeah, you're 100% right. There's nothing better than a honeymoon in spring training. Baseball every day.
That is called a mini moon.
That's what you get.
Called a no moon.
Sliver moon. Yeah, no moon.
Guys, before you go, you were drafted in 2017.
Yeah.
And 2017 is the year that the Astros are kind of infamous for. Do you get it on the road, or even though you had nothing to do with that whole mess, do you still get it? I know the team does as a whole, but when you walk up to the plate, they're like, now batting Chas McCormick, boo, cheater, even though you weren't even part of the organization, barely?
So I got it in 2021, the first time fans were able to go to the games, after the scandal. Obviously had nothing to do with it, but it's not as bad anymore. You don't really hear it as much. Still get a couple boos, but it's not as bad. But 2021 was definitely, especially in New York, Los Angeles, even some new guys as well, like me on the 2021 team. We got some hate towards us, but after winning the World Series last year, definitely nice to quiet the crowd a little bit. But yeah, 2021, I was like, holy crap, this is real. This is definitely these fans don't like us. But it was cool to see us play with like a chip on our shoulder like that. Definitely in 2021, we took it. I thought a lot of the guys took it really well, and then we played super well on the road. So all the boos kind of made us a better team, I thought.
I will say it's a different situation, but we've given credit earlier in the year to Tatis when he came back. Obviously, you're going to hear it, right? He came back from his suspension. He's like dancing, having a good time. He's having a pretty good year. Like, I from a fan perspective, because that's the only time I can talk apparently on this interview. Like, it's good to have like villains and love, hate, and all of that with fan bases, right? As long as they keep it appropriate to an extent, like it's good for the game, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Chaz, dude, awesome catching up with you, dude. Keep up the great year, and I'm sure your boys will get right back on track as they always do, and appreciate the time, man.
Hey, thank you, guys. It was good to talk to you guys. Great to
Chaz, if you see Jeff Blum, your TV announcer, tell him he was better as a White Sox than he was as an Astro.
Will do. I will.
All right.
Thanks, Chaz.
Thanks, Chaz.
Cheers, man.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Awesome. Yes, you can Google Jeff Blum.
I wanted Kratz to make him say wood or ice.
Oh, he definitely had the accent. Did you hear how he said boo?
Yeah. And John.
He had the boo. He had Wooder.
Hoagie.
Yeah.
Hoagie.
All right, let's do it. It is still very sunny outside. Basically anywhere you are in the country. Okay. So did you know?
Not in California.
Well, it rains and then
it'll be tomorrow.
Stop. Thank you. If you're looking for quality shades built to last, they are right here. Shady Rays in the house for all of us, showing them off. Is this going to be the first episode where you don't put them on?
You were crushing it. I wasn't going to interrupt.
Well, I didn't
want all the attention on me.
I feel like nobody's going to really appreciate what they're looking at unless this is a player run, for the most part, show. They see a player wearing the Shady Rays. You have your own. I got a copycat. I got the same. I ordered the same.
You're a play.
I wore them all weekend. So if you saw me, I wore them all weekend.
Hell yeah, baby. Oh, paparazzi was all over that. I saw so many pics online of Kratz running through the streets.
Me and Jim Cott. I have a picture of me and Jim Cott. I'm wearing my Shady Rays. I'll put that on the line.
There you go. Well, the most important thing also for everyone to know is obviously they're for you. They're for the people. And Shady Rays has the most ridiculously customer-friendly protection plan in all of eyewear. So every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. So they'll hook you up. Even if you lose or break a pair right away, they're here for you. And same thing if you get a pair and you're like, they looked much better on AJ than me. So you can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. Fault. Well, no, Shady Rays is there to fix any problems you have with losing or not liking your Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving you the best deal of the season. So go to shadyrays.com. The promo code is FOUL, FOUL, for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try it for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. And actually, that is an easy transition for me to get into Hot Corner. And some breaking news in Hot Corner. There we go. I need the sizzle before I can talk. Can I talk again, or are you going to do the rest of the show by yourself?
No, you got it.
Okay.
You're doing great, Scott.
Thank you. Ken Rosenthal, according to sources, Nationals extend manager Davey Martinez, and they're close to a deal with GM Mike Rizzo. He's got a little more on that story with Rich Aroli that we can check out. Also, by the way, Fair Territory is up there for you, podcast, and the YouTube will be up there too. So Davey Martinez, in my mind, especially if you're looking at the second half of the season, is taking a team that is building and is just starting to get going with young talent coming up for this next run of a Nationals team that could make the postseason. He's doing some good things with it. Have you seen what the Nationals are doing? I believe I'll be able to find it in the next 10 seconds. I believe they're 21-14 in the second half of the season, which would be third best in the National League. That's pretty damn good. 21-14, yeah. And they won yesterday over the Phils. Called up soon. Yeah, that's how you rebuild fast. By next year, they might be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, especially if they spend some money this offseason too.
They already are a pain in the ass.
Why aren't they going to spend some money? They've done it in the past. You're saying because they're paying Strasburg for all time? That's one player. That's like Orioles fans that try and still paying
Scherzer.
True. They're already a pain in the
Yeah, on
ass,
the
though. Here's the
deferrals,
thing.
but they can
The Nats
they
are
can
pretty
afford
good,
some dudes.
dude.
They
The
are
Nats
pretty good.
They're
I
already a
know.
pain in the ass because they can swing it a little bit without Dylan Cruz, Kratzy. And listen, Mike Rizzo, Dave Martinez, because they won in 2019. It wasn't that long ago. They won a World Series, and then they went right in the shitter. I mean, they just right. And a lot of teams would say, maybe Dave Martinez isn't the right guy to rebuild with. Maybe he's not the right leader. They stuck with him through some bad years. And now here he is. He's got him back coming up. So good for you, Washington Nationals. Dave Martinez is a good dude when you talk to him. He knows baseball. And good on Mike Rizzo for sticking with him. And listen, they both should be extended. They both won a World Series. They both have success. And they're both trending in the right direction. So this is A+ move for me for the Nats.
That's an easy win, right?
Yep. Something
Well
to get
said.
behind since you don't keep your superstars. They can get behind their manager and their GM.
You're saying because they don't keep
because
their
they traded
superstars.
Soto, Harper, Rendon, Turner. Should I keep going? They kept Strasburg and he gone.
Well, but
Rendon would not have been the move.
no, they knew that. They knew Rendon, so they were like, oh, someone wants to pay $400 million to go away? Okay.
Harper was kind of a weird situation because he did great things.
Yeah,
there.
they weren't like but they just didn't want to pay him because they thought Soto was going to be the guy to fill his spot.
On the Soto side, I will say, I mean,
they tried. They offered him
good coin.
360 or something.
No, way more. I think it was 4.
But why didn't he? Yeah, it was 4 something. But why didn't he want to stay?
I don't know, but
because he thought he could get more on the open market.
And I'll give him credit for this, Kratzy. They turned that into. It's one of the few moves where a player like that is traded. It doesn't happen. I mean, it happens not that often, but they got some good. C.J. Abrams is a good player. I mean, they got some good players back for the moves they made for Soto. Gore, Abrams. I forget who the other guys are. Some prospect guys, right?
Yeah, James Wood is going to be the best.
James Wood
going to be a stud.
Yeah, but then you also look at like Scherzer when they traded Scherzer to L.A. They got Kybert Ruiz back, who's their everyday catcher.
Who they signed long term. And Josiah Gray, who even if he doesn't end up being a top end, I mean, he's definitely a big league starter. You got a big league starter and your starting catcher. Right, and your starting catcher for the next X amount of years. That's a pretty good deal for them too. The report was that he rejected in July of 22, 15 years, $440 million. No deferred money, which is very rare for them because they've always got the bullshit they have to deal with the Orioles and the Masyn situation. Everyone has to pay John Angelos his hefty salary since he's such a good president of television networks. He's got so much experience. But it would have been the largest deal in baseball history, and it was the third offer they made in a very short period of time. And Scott Boras at one point said he wouldn't consider, I guess, a deal until the ownership situation was resolved. I haven't really heard much on that front. I mean, the owners are still there, and I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but I don't know. 440 for a team that had won pretty recently, it's looking pretty good to me. Is he going to get more than that in the open market?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
It'll be close. It's going to be close.
It'll be close.
My guess on that
one. You think he's going to get 440 after next year?
My guess on that one is no, and I'll tell you why. I think
over 4.
Over 4?
Wow.
I think teams will be concerned about the defense.
I just think
teams I want an all-around player if it's 440.
I think teams are also learning from past. They've been giving these long-term deals to lower the AAV and help.
He's young, though.
He is young, but still 15 years to give somebody? 15 years. There's a lot that can happen in 15 years.
Of course.
I mean, you're almost 35 now. You know how long 15 years is.
From when I was 20?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not much has changed. But no, I think I get what you're saying, Kratz. But this team has won in the past. They have spent money in the past. You're right. They're not keeping all their dudes, and I think Trey should have been a consideration there, right? Player in his prime, played well with them. I don't know what kind of conversations went on behind the scenes with him. I do know that some teams have issues with what I used to call like legs guys, where your top tool is your speed. I mean, I did a few like report kind of things when I worked for MLB on this, where we talked about it on like how many guys that had speed as their top tool were signed to long-term deals, and like almost none of them ever worked out. I mean, Starling Marte is now turning out to be a pretty tough deal for the Mets. Like his body's kind of breaking down right now. He'd be the first to tell you he's dealt with a billion injuries, and he's not the first guy. There's been a ton of these over the years. No?
Yeah.
Michael
Carl
Bourne,
Crawford, Michael
Crawford,
Bourne.
Sean Figgins.
There's been a ton. You can look it up. There's been a ton. It's the position player side tool that you have to know is going to decline because there's no steroids nowadays either. So when you're 38, you better not run like you're 28. Otherwise, what the fuck's going on?
There's freaks, though.
So anyway, I don't know. Are you trying to say, Kratzy, like it's not a team that a player should have faith in long term right now because you don't know if ultimately they get sold and get run a certain way or what? Like what would be your hesitation at $440 million if you're Juan Soto level talent? Unless you just said, hey, screw it, I want to test free agency. I think I'm worth more. Like that's fine. But do you think that he looked at the team and said, I don't like how they run well?
Yes, I do. Because
Okay.
I don't know that he was – I thought 440, 15 was fair. And Boris isn't afraid to take a fair deal from the Nationals. He already did with Strasburg. I think they overpaid, but, he signed it. So it's not unheard of that Boris gets a deal done with the Nationals. So I think that's out the window. I think at one point, like 7 of the 9 starters on their World Series team were Boris guys, something ridiculous like that. So that kind of stuff's getting done. That's out the window. To me, Soto showed that he didn't like the way the organization was going. Whether or not it turns out to be the right idea or not, he saw it for his year and a half in the minor leagues. He saw it for his 4+ years in the big leagues. And he didn't think they were doing what it took to put a big league team out there around what would be a generational superstar in himself. So why all of a sudden are they going to now – they're going to build around C.J. Abrams, which I think is kind of a – he's a mid player right now that is been doing better as the season's been going on. They're going to build around Lane Thomas and Stone Garrett and Joey Meneses, who's 33. Like, I think they have some good pieces. I just would need to see Rizzo making moves. And I don't know that it's Rizzo's fault. I think it's an ownership thing that they're not willing to put the money out there, whether it's because of the Masyn stuff, whether it's because of the fact that they don't feel like they have enough in the minor leagues. I have no idea. But since their Scherzer and Jason Worth signings, who's the team they're going to build with, or who are they going to build around the team that they already have?
Their outfield for 2025 is going to be really good. Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Elijah Green, if he progresses somewhat quickly and certainly capable of doing so. I know he's just in the lower levels right now.
495 feet.
I think their farm system's pretty good.
You know why Elijah Green's good?
Why?
From Orlando.
I did know that. I just didn't remember.
Stop it. AJ's
I don't pay
off.
attention to those things. AJ is just a little bit biased.
You know why Dylan Cruz is good?
Because he went to LSU?
Because he's from Orlando.
Well, then get him on one time. Get a prospect on, AJ.
Who do you want? Which one do you want?
Yeah, can you get some of
Both
these
of
dudes
them
on?
At the same time?
Do you not know any of these guys?
I can get Elijah Green.
He doesn't know anybody. They don't even know who he is.
I'd like to talk to Elijah Green. I'd like to talk to Dylan Cruz.
Okay. Make a list.
Well, give me all the Orlando guys. Who else you got? I'd like to talk to Lindor.
Okay.
Again.
We already had him on.
That was a long time ago. I want to talk again.
A lot's changed.
A lot's changed in spring training.
That's why I want to talk
They
to
had
him.
Diaz back then. I mean, there was a lot that was going on.
Fam.
Speaking of Fam. Oh, we got Mike Ford. Sorry.
No. We
have
have
Mike Ford.
2 more minutes before we get to Mike.
Oh.
What do you got?
Dude, the Tommy Pham stuff from the Mets fans about how he's a bad guy in the clubhouse, and then I love that Steve Cohen was like, y'all shut the fuck up because he wasn't. It's pretty badass, dude. That the owner takes to Twitter and defends you. I mean, that's awesome. Like, as a player and as like a guy that would be like, man, I'm going to go it's between the Mets and the Nats, and the owner of the Mets is backing up his dudes on Twitter. I mean, it doesn't mean that much, but it means something.
Lindor backed him up too. Remember?
Listen, I played with Tommy Pham. He's definitely a different fella.
Yeah.
But deep down, he's a good guy.
People like him. He works his ass off.
Dude, listen, when I did a Mets game a couple weeks ago, my son had something going on, and he has the same thing with his eyes. And he went out of his way to talk to me for a long time, send me texts and send me information about some stuff. And I know we were teammates for a little while in 2014 with the Cardinals, but he didn't have to do that. And he was awesome. And so, I can only speak from my experiences with guys. He was awesome, and I love seeing Steve Cohen do this.
And did you see the whole – I haven't gotten to see all of it yet because there's, like, videos coming out from, like, fans all over him in San Diego.
I saw that.
And then Torey Lovello backed up Tommy because he's, like, talking to the fans. It's not like he went into the seats or, like, touched anyone. Like, Rendon situation from earlier in the year was way worse. Fam's just like going back and forth with a guy who like one Padres fans like, he is the model citizen, whatever. And Fam's like, really? He's like, you should see the shit he said to me. Let's put him on a lie detector test. If he passes it and says he didn't say what he did actually say, I'll put up 100 G's. That sounds pretty fucking legit. You're going to go after Tommy for that? Like, that's pretty cool. He feels pretty confident that this fan was being a bitch. And I believe him.
Can we get this on FT?
What?
Can we get the lie detector test on FT? We'll have Tommy Pham.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fan.
We'll have the fan, and we'll have Scott Braun administering the lie detector
I would love
test.
to do that.
And then we'll see who's telling the truth here.
But we have an honest man who has the last name of a former president joining us right now. Mike Ford is with us from the Seattle Mariners. Gerald Ford was the president.
What's up, fellas? How you
doing?
What's
up, Mike? Hey, Kratzy, intro your boy.
I mean, this is not Mike Ford. This is the man, the myth, the legend, the Station. So we can call him Station from now on, because in AAA we would call him Station because he would not take an extra base ever. It was station to station unless the ball went over the fence. So if he's on second and you get a knock, you better put it over the fences.
Yeah, we'll hit it soft. So I got a chance,
Hey, Big Mike, how you doing, dude? So I heard that you weren't allowed to come on to the show until you hit a certain milestone, which you accomplished like with impeccable timing with your Friday home run.
Yeah, Kratzy sent me a little text that I had tied him in career home runs, and it took me a little while to get over that hump. So glad I was able to the other night. Yeah,
it took forever. It didn't take you a while. It took you like 40 at bats. You got 12 pumps and like 150 at bats now. You're on pace for like 68 homers for this season if you get enough ABs. And it took you 40 at bats until our final text Friday. I said, you ain't coming on Monday unless you hit a homer. So
there you go.
Now you passed me.
Yeah. But it took a while,
Hey, Mike, did you think even for like one iota and I remember I'm looking back at it now too. Pitch was a little below the zone. You reach for it, smash it over the wall, and it was a big one to help you guys because you only won 2-0 in that game. Was there like even an iota of Erik Kratz's text in your brain when you were crossing the bags?
More like, please hit a slider. But
so you are like Kratzy.
I think Kratz can attest to that one too. But definitely good to hear from Kratz, and I'm glad I'm able to come on.
That was his first thought when he's circling the pillows. He's like, I just passed Erik
Gotcha,
Kratz on the home run list all time.
Wait, is it Kratz? Is it passed or tied now? You're the official statistician.
No, it's passed. Yeah, it's an elite list. He had 31 homers, and back when I used to run the mic in AAA, Ford would have a couple of extra yogurts and adult sodas in AAA, and he'd be talking smack from the back, and I'd be like, Ford, I have way more big league home runs than you, and I said, but when you pass me in the career big league home run race, because he had just come back from he was a little salty, came back, he didn't make the team with the Mariners as a Rule 5 pick. Vogelbach did. Yeah. And now you're in the big leagues. I said, when you pass, I'll get you a gift. So here's your gift, 40. You're on my show.
Perfect. It's just like Back to the Bus, Spent a lot of time on that thing together. So it's always nice to see your face, and we haven't talked in a while, so it's good to see you.
It is good to see you too, but you bounced around a lot of teams. But let's go back to the 2019 season, because I asked some of the boys from the POS, And after
the
this, you
POS?
got to tell everybody what the POS text thread stands for. But they said I wanted to ask for some Mike Ford stories to see if you would back the stories up. So Mike Tauchman, center fielder for the Chicago Cubs, fresh out of Korea, wants to know what your pregame food was before you hit a dinger in Syracuse. Shirt off pregame food.
Shirt off pregame food. I can't remember that.
Pizza and wings, and you got hot.
There you go. You know, sometimes you just got to have a little joy off the field. You know what I mean? I've adopted your policy of yogurt and granola, the AAA after 30. Yes. Yeah, you know, it's a little lighter. I can't do what I used to do.
No wonder you look so sexy in your big league uniform now. But you need to tell everybody, what does POS stand for?
Pieces of shit.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. You know, we're called a few things by a certain person, and we just kind of gravitated toward it as a group. So it was a really fun group of guys. I mean, a really successful group, and you know, it's crazy to see the success that the team's had. I think you would say that too. I mean, pretty nuts, the guys that were there with us, and it's just cool to see them having really good careers, different places.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, so right now you're on a Seattle team that's hot as hell, and you guys had a huge weekend. How much fun are you having, and what have you noticed is the number one thing? And you can't say like, oh, Julio Rodriguez. Like, give me something different, right? Like, suddenly everyone's hitting yogurt in the clubhouse. Give me something different over the last few weeks for Seattle.
Oh, man. Well, I stopped hitting. Everyone else started, so that's a good thing. But, you know, no, just it's a great vibe right now. You know, our team's, I mean, our pitching's going to carry us. So, you know, that's kind of just stayed the same, and then we've all started kind of just having good at-bats together, as cliche as it sounds. You know, and obviously when you start winning, things get a little bit lighter. Clubhouse get a little bit more relaxed. You know, I was on 4 different teams last year. I've gotten to see a bunch of different places, and you know, you can just ride the wave for a decent amount of time, and I feel like that's what we're doing. We have a belief that we can, you know, kind of go out and just beat anyone on any night now, and you know, it's a nice thing, and you know, we're just kind of playing to our level of competition and just trying to stay hot.
Mike, how different are some of the teams that you've played for? So fans always want to know, like, what's the clubhouse vibes? How are the teams treating their players? And by treating their players, it doesn't mean that one is necessarily treating players better than the other, although sometimes that's definitely the case. But, you know, they have different approaches. So can you think of any specific examples as to, say, what Seattle does, or where you come here and you're like, oh, I really like how they do this with the guys? Or do most squads feel the same for you in the bigs?
I think, you know, I would say it's kind of more dependent on a GM's profile at this point to me, kind of what the direction of the team that they're running obviously wants to be. They have indicators of things that they like, and, you know, ways of doing things. And you know, that's kind of ultimately the head of our, you know, each team, you know, so I think it kind of comes from that level. You know, every place is different. Every place has different things that they're looking for. Some have, you know, less than others. You know, it kind of all dependent across the landscape of the league. But yeah, I mean, here it's a lot of young guys that you know, get on base a lot. Obviously, pitching's super important, and they kind of just roll with the hot hand, and you know, it's great.
What was it like watching Julio the last 4 days?
I asked him after the third day. I said, "What'd you have for breakfast the past few days? Because I really need some hits." And he said, "You know, I'll order you some Chick-fil-A." I think he had Chick-fil-A in the morning. So, you know, the Sunday he said, "Oh, I couldn't get my Chick-fil-A today," and he ended up getting one. But you know, so hopefully he had some Chick-fil-A this morning. Get back to the fort, but it's just crazy. I mean, he's incredibly talented, super fast. I wish I would love to see how it is to be that fast for one day. But, he can beat out a ball in the hole with the best of them. So, it's just he's a really talented player, and he's kind of getting going with the year, and this is what he should be doing. And I think he knows that, and it's kind of nothing out of the norm for him.
There's many more Chick-fil-A's available in Houston than there are in Chicago. So he might have had a tough time. There's one in Chicago downtown. The line's like 2 hours long. I don't know if Julio Uber Eats it to the hotel or not. But.
Yeah, but that's got to get figured out, right? Like if you're the Mariners and you're like, dude, what's changed for you the last 4 days? And he's like, yo, I'm just hitting Chick-fil-A every morning. I'm like, we will do whatever it takes, okay?
Tell J-Dog in Chicago, the visiting clubhouse guy, hey, man, we need some Chick-fil-A for J-Rod every day.
And double up on Saturday, put it in the fridge.
Yeah,
it'd be kind of gross, but he's still got to eat it on Sunday. Yeah, reason number 9,000 that place needs to be open on Sundays.
Exactly.
Chick-fil-A slaps, right, 40?
That's good. It's one of the better AAA meals. You know that. So, I've dabbled in those spreads a lot. So, always appreciative with the Chick-fil-A spread. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, how much have you experienced players that have come down like on the rehab assignment or something when you've been in the minor leagues and they do the whole spread thing? It's a big conversation on this show often. And sometimes like Kratz or AJ has to even remind the young guys because it'll be like a first-year ARB guy. And they'll be like, yo, dude, you're about to go on your rehab assignment. What are you getting the boys? And they're like, oh, I haven't thought about that. They're like, well, you should think about that, So have you come across any really good situations like that? And also, if you somehow get hurt and have to go back down, do you have to buy everyone's spread?
100%. I think it's, it's just kind of what was done for you. So you do it for the next, group of guys. And a nice meal and a little bit of money out of your pocket for especially, when you go down and you rehab, you're taking some at bats away from some guys, especially if it's a longer rehab. And that kind of gets lost, because you're usually doing it in AAA and those guys are close and, maybe the guy's hot and now he's got to take a week off or basically kind of not play for the week. So there's a lot of different things that go into it, but, definitely would buy a spread. But, I never really ran into anyone bad like that. I've always, New York was really good with it. So that's kind of where I spent the majority of my time in the minor leagues. And, those guys were great. Every time they came down, it was something new, something good, and something different.
There was one dude that didn't buy spread. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're not saying it. I said it on the show earlier. Hey, that's what this is about. You got to call dudes out.
Yeah, no. I won't name names, but I know that you've probably said it before. So,
hey, what's worse? What's better? I should say, going 4 for 4 with 2 dingers in the bushes, or 1 for 8 in a series in the show.
Oh man. That's
show. It doesn't matter. You're in the show, dude. It doesn't matter. That's the easiest answer ever, dude. I'm in the show. Forget that.
Yeah.
Kratz just wants his AAA homers to count in his big league his big league number. So you say he's still ahead of you. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, definitely the big leagues. But after the 1 for 8, you're like, that tap better not be coming soon. That's kind of you know that one, Kratzy. So
everyone counts the days, right? They know someone's coming off the IL, and all the guys are like counting the days, and they're like, they all know when the dude's coming back off rehab, and everyone's in their locker, and they're like, oh god, can I go hide in the training room, or can I hide in the food room? And you see the coach walking through, and you're like,
and there's no September 40-man rosters anymore.
But still, it's like
walking.
Yeah, who they getting? You see the bench coach come out of the office and just slowly look around. And you're like, oh, who's he going for? And if you're on that bubble, you're like hoping you're going.
You shower quick so you get a phone call, and you get out. I'll never forget the one in New York. It's the day before my birthday on the 9th, 2019. and we had an extra inning game in Tampa, and that's before they changed the rules to 13 pitchers, 13 position players. So I'm like, well, get an option tonight, day before the birthday. Sure enough, need an extra arm. You're the optional guy, and it is what it is. That's how it works. But definitely had plenty of those experiences. So I think I had 17 total transactions last year. So it was a lot to go off. Yeah.
All right. So Mike, what's your favorite? And you can't say Trenton, okay? Because he's from there.
Yeah.
You can't say Trenton. He's from Princeton. I mean, that's like they're next door to each other.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your favorite minor league stop? Because you've hit. I mean, you're like Kratz. You hit them all.
Yeah.
Anywhere I was, that's where his favorite was.
I enjoyed being with Kratzy a lot. He brought a great element, especially a little bit older I've gotten. He was imparting wisdom, before I knew he was. Let's put it that way. And I'd probably say after I got DFA'd in New York and traded to Tampa, I went to Durham, and I kind of settled in there. And it was a younger group of guys that had a lot of energy playing, and it kind of brought some joy back to the game for me. So probably there. Also, nice little city. Had a nice place to live there. So I'd probably say Durham is my outside of Trenton because I got to live at home there. Durham would be my number one.
Okay, these guys are going on Thursday, right? This Thursday.
Yes.
To Somerset, the new AA affiliate of the Yankees.
I don't think he's played there.
No, let me finish.
Okay.
So when I played against the Yankees in the Eastern League, they were in Trenton. And Trenton has the big prison, and they got Princeton. Right? Those are two things in Trenton, in a AA ballpark. Okay?
You love Jersey.
I love Jersey. I'm a huge. They don't even let me in Jersey. But last time I went in Jersey, there was fires, and I had to go home. The sky was orange. But
it was.
Yeah.
Are you upset that the AA team's not in Trenton anymore, and now it's in Somerset? Trenton was actually a good ballpark.
So is Somerset.
They packed a lot. I don't know, but I'm just saying. You can only go off my experiences here, Scott. And he's from Trenton, so I'm on his side here. Why'd they take the AA from Trenton and move it to Somerset?
So Somerset and Trenton are about exactly opposite. One's north, one's south of where I'm from. So it would have been kind of the similar situation. I went to some Somerset Patriots games growing up because it was an independent ball team. Actually, Jack Cuss's father was a part owner in it, and that's where I did a lot of my. That's who I played for. Growing up was the Cuss Academy in New Jersey. So I went there a bunch. It's a nice stadium. I think they've done some big renovations, but to me, it's Trenton's where I played. It feels, you drive into the field and you drive out of Trenton, but it was a great ballpark. I love dogs, so the bat dog was big for me. It's like an emotional support animal when I was playing there, kind of thing. So no. Definitely be missed, but I hear the new one's pretty nice. So you'll have to tell me about it, Kratzy, when you go see it.
Yeah, AJ's not invited to Somerset for good reason.
It's fine.
I'll definitely tell you about it.
What a name, by the way.
Upper
Jack Cuss. It's now called the Diamond Jacks.
Yeah, Diamond Jacks. Yep.
Yeah, in Flemington. Tell us about your dog. You said you love dogs. Tell us about that little mutt.
He's with my parents in New Jersey, like he does every year. He's 5 now, crazy, but he's swimming, everything, doing his normal thing. He's got the life, man. He's a snowbird before, Florida in the off season, New Jersey at the beach in the summer. It's not bad. So he gets spoiled.
Hey, Mike, we have some serious Princeton baseball fans in here, including Jackson, who said, I remember he was player and pitcher of the year at Princeton. So what's the smartest thing that you learned from Princeton, whether it was baseball or in class? What's the one thing you'll always remember from Princeton?
Don't go to the jail across the street.
Yeah, that's a good start. Probably, probably the biggest thing I learned from the university was just probably life's more about connections and personal interactions with people and just kind of networking than any school could really give you. So just to take advantage of that was probably the biggest lesson I learned while I was there.
All right, I've got one more Mariners question from me. Who's got the most pop on the Mariners? Maybe in BP, let's call it, because you got some serious swingers there. I mean, you got Raleigh, you got Gino, Julio. You can tell me if I'm missing anyone else from like the big boppers.
Man, there's Demo's got some thump. I mean, it's a pretty good group. I love BP, so you know,
Your
I
boy.
like to try to put on a show during BP when I can. Yeah, I mean, Julio's got a ton of juice and stuff to beat. Gino's got some crazy juice in there too, and
Murphy,
Cal
Tom
as well.
Murphy. Tom
Yeah,
Murphy's
Tom
jack, dude.
Yeah, Tom just hits like the 110 mile an hour piercing line drive. You know what I mean?
What a body!
Oh man, he's jacked.
He is incredibly in shape. And have you, Kratz? You ever came across Murph?
Yeah. We played together in exhibition games for like 2 minutes with the Giants.
Yeah, he is so locked in this year. It's just like boom, and it's been incredible to watch. Definitely trying to take some of his stuff and apply it to myself too. Just kind of block out.
He's a yogurt guy. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah. Very, very clean eating and incredibly focused.
Mike, are you in the lineup tonight?
I think so. Yeah, it hadn't come out yet, but.
All right, good, because I'm calling the game tonight for Fox, so I need you to do something for me tonight, so I can talk about you. I can talk about you on national television passing Erik Kratz for the home run title. So I need you to I know, for the career home run title. I got you. So I need you to go deep, or score from second on a triple or something like that, and we can talk about it.
There we go. That's I can do that on the triple. I got that one. But yeah, no, it should be good. This is actually weirdly first time playing here, so I've never played in the White Sox here. I've played them on the road, for them on the road a bunch, but so it'll be interesting. Cross another stadium off, and that's part of the fun at this point for me. It's seeing new things, seeing different places, and it's just cool to keep doing it.
The home of AJ Pierzynski.
Right.
Yeah,
you can give him some tips.
So when he walked in, he saw my statue
around the ballpark. What should he see around the ballpark?
The statue of me at the front. I don't know.
It's awesome.
Yeah, just go give J-Dog a high five for me. J-Dog's the visiting clubhouse guy. So when you walk in, just tell J-Dog hello. That's it.
Kratz, you got last licks if you want it.
Yeah, so we're going to say bye to you, 40, but I can't say bye without asking, did you go to the barber and ask them for the Lego haircut? Is that what you went to?
Oh my God, dude, I haven't gotten a haircut in like 2 months, and I knew
that's why you're not hitting.
You were going to blow me up. So, hey, I missed the barber twice in the last week, and then once the week before. I came back in from BP. He was gone both times. I said, damn. And, you know me, I don't really care what the hair looks like. But, yeah, definitely need to get that fixed quickly. So we're going to take care of it shortly here in the off day on Thursday.
Nice.
I like
Good
it.
work.
He's got the bangs, the lax bro kind of look.
Yeah, he's got Carlos Quentin Lego hair. We should tell him helmet hair. When he just takes it off at night and he puts it on the little Lego thing, and then the morning he wakes up, he puts it back on.
He's got it. He's got the flow.
That's not a bad thing.
You've got plenty of it. Many
Mike,
don't.
Don't ever take hair advice from Erik Kratz.
Yeah,
That's true. So if he's making fun of your hair, just be like, Erik, at least I have hair. Okay, we'll go from there. Start over.
Hey, if there's one thing that he is an 80 tool hair game for Mike Ford. He has hair everywhere. He's maybe 85 tool. The shower, it looks like he's a Wookiee in the shower. It's unbelievable.
You ain't lying.
Whatever.
He ain't losing it though, so that's a good thing.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. You tell him. Well, Mike, good luck tonight. All right. Have fun out there in Chicago. Keep doing your thing, dude. Awesome to get you on here for the first time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. Mike Ford from the Seattle Mariners, hottest team in baseball right now. They've won 6 in a row, and they're like screw the wild card. We're going after the division. And they've got a shot. You got time. So
You think other networks were like, dang it, foul territory. They got Mike Ford. That's who we wanted to talk to today.
I think after they watch that, they might actually second guess some of the people that they do bring on and say, hey, how's your swing?
He is elite. Mike Ford is elite. Sometimes when you get a Princeton or Ivy League guys, they're like, like no social awareness. Fordy is elite.
He is. He's got it. Yeah.
I like it.
Let's slap hands.
Ball.
It happens.
Still a ball.
Got some birthdays. Corbin Carroll. A lot of either current or former Diamondbacks. Brandon Drury.
Craig Counsell.
Craig Counsell's birthday today?
Is it?
That's what it says on the
He was
Twitter.
on the list.
I didn't see it on the line, but I
JD
saw it on the
Martinez,
Twitter.
former D-back legend.
Former D-back great.
Yeah.
Jason Marquise.
What's your hat got?
Another Syracuse Chiefs hat, except a little Bush's story. Got to play in the Cooperstown Classic. We played a little 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock Cooperstown Classic when the big league team came in, and then they were like, all right, big league team's out. AAA guys who aren't playing, you get to play. I got to play in the game with like 7 other guys that came up from the complex and filled in because I wasn't going to play in the game. So I got to play, ride the bus back. I didn't even get in at bat because Tom Verducci stepped in front of me and was like, I'm going to take an at bat before you do. So.
Right. Tom Verducci, the announcer?
The writer turned announcer.
He took an at bat in a game ahead of you? And you were okay with this? Why?
What am I going to do? I'd already taken my shin guards off to go up to the plate, and he goes, I'm going to go.
Hopefully he punched out in 3 pitches and crawled back.
Broken bat, ground out is how I remember it in my mind, but.
Well.
Is the Cooperstown Classic like the Little League Classic?
No, it doesn't happen anymore. It used to be two big league teams that go and play like an exhibition game on an off day. They don't do it anymore. That's why they now have the Hall of Fame Classic, Home Run Derby champ. Sorry about it.
You were the Home Run Derby champ at the Hall of Fame Classic?
Yeah.
You hit dingers? Better than the rest?
It's a Little League.
Who was your
field.
competition?
For 1 year? A lot of guys.
Look at you.
Alex Rios won it that year. He was Alexis Rios at that time.
He was.
True. Do the Legends Derby then. We just had Pudge Rodriguez on Legends.
I was there.
I know. Can you do the Legends Derby next year in Texas?
I'm in. Let me know.
Would you do it if you were invited?
Hell yeah.
Oh, shit.
That would be awesome.
I didn't know that.
I would love it. I would
okay.
love to
I'm going to get you in.
By the way, Kratz, just to prepare yourself mentally for tomorrow, it's a big day for Scott. I know you don't probably know this.
What?
35 for him tomorrow. And we're smashing his face in cake a la the Orioles tradition.
You want to see how strong I really am? Watch AJ try and smash a cake in my face.
Let's start a new FT tradition. That thing we talked about, AJ. Don't tell Scott, though.
Okay. It's called The Music's Playing Us Out. We'll see you on Tuesday for a big one.